Okay, so we got to take a second to talk about this Nerporial life form guy. In my life, I have never seen more shit takes ever. The mouth breathing pulled you into a scene. I mean, what is happening with this guy? What is happening here?
Have you even read the fucking book, Nerdporial?
Being out of touch with reality the last several minutes has made humanity as a whole dumber than these book-burning shills.
How does he call himself a Wheel of Time fan? I mean, how slow does this dude read? He's been reading The Shadow Rising for about 2.5 years.
Fuck.
You Chicago dipshit motherfucker.
Get over yourself.
What is going on?
Last time on Revisiting the Wheel of Time.
I just felt like this one was a little dry. I mean, there were good parts, but this was a little dry, and that's just unfortunately it's my least favorite of the four. The ending has improved because of our discussion, but the endings of all the other books are
So okay, I'm gonna take a different tact in trying to convince you to keep it going and be enthusiastic with it. You've already read 2,500 words or 2,500
pages.
Yeah, 2,500 pages of the Wheel of Time. You've basically read Harry Potter now. I mean, you can't give up on a series you've read 2,500 pages. You have to finish.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? Yeah,
you're only 10% of the way there.
Saying, and you're not gonna. The tension that comes with the Wheel of Time really comes as a culmination of the entire journey, and it really comes in at the end that it's only one of those things you can only really look back on in retrospect. To be honest, for that, and you feel that tension that it's been building that you don't even really know it's been building for 6-7 books. When it hits down, and that's when you go, oh shit! And that's why I say, if you get there, it's the best thing, and because you can't tell someone, you can't explain it. It's just a thing that you've got to do, and you've got to get there.
Look, Brian, we think if you didn't like TSR, or weren't over the moon with it, temper your expectations for the 5th book.
And now the continuation.
With his coming are the dread fires, born again. The hills burn, and the lands turn sere. The tides of men run out, and the hours dwindle. The wall is pierced, and the veil of parting raised. Storms rumble beyond the horizon, and the fires of heaven purge the earth. There is no salvation without destruction, no hope this side of death. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wheel of Time Book Club. This is going to be the first part of covering The Fires of Heaven, the 5th book of the Wheel of Time. And so I was having some issues with The Shadow Rising, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to continue the series overall. And because, you know, there were lots of great parts of The Shadow Rising that, you know, earned that pretty much earned it. And of course, the great panelists and the great Wheel of Time experts who I have the honor of, having a conversation about this with me. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest of this particular one. You need no introduction. He was on with me last week. The one and only, technically Mexican. So how you doing, sir? Thanks for joining me for this Wheel of Time Book Club.
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good myself. Just had to get these videos out there for your entertainment. So hope you enjoyed it.
I've come into a couple of these like in the comment section live, but I never I was always like halfway through the stream and I never saw your intro, which is absolutely hilarious. So unless that's new.
Nope, I've been doing it ever since the part 2. I wanted to do the Star Trek previously on, and I used Majel Baird's computer voice, which is what they use on the old show. So, but yeah, that's
very funny. I didn't know that. So this is your reread. You tried once before. When was that?
The Eye of the World. I read The Eye of the World years ago, and then that's as far as you got. That's as far as I got. So, okay. So this is my reattempt at the series, and this is my first time reading The Fires of Heaven. So, So you're tell us a little bit about your intro into Wheel of Time. I know you said you watched the show first, and that was you went to the books, or am I wrong?
No, yeah, you're wrong. But it's okay. We still love you. I read the books first. And then I watched the show, and now I'm currently rereading the books. So I've only gone through one time, but I literally speed read book 4 so that I could get ready for this show, and then you pushed it back 2 weeks. But that's just me complaining. No, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. No. I started reading. Yeah, 5 or 6 years ago. I read the first book, and I enjoyed it, and then I let it sit for like a year, and then I read the second book and also let it sit for a year, and then eventually once I started the third book, I just powered through them. But yeah, that was so I finished probably about 4 years ago. So I'm very new to the Wheel of Time fandom. I was almost done with the series when they announced that they were doing a show. So
yeah.
So you're probably getting confused because my YouTube channel, my first big YouTube break was reacting to the trailer for the show. Like I got a big influx of subscribers. That one I didn't go, viral by viral comparisons, but it got a couple thousand views, and that was viral to me. So I was a show shill. I was covering like weekly news. I was reading Rafe Judkins' Twitter and announcements and analyzing trailers, and I was basically a Wheel of Time show news channel. And then the show happened, and it took a while for it to sink in. I was on board with the first episode, aside from I just realized my thing's tied. I was always against the possibility that the Dragon Reborn could be a woman. I hated that, but for the most part, I like the first episode wasn't that bad to me. It's in retrospect, it's horrible, and I've gone through. I'm going through the whole show and episode by episode, slowly deconstructing those. But it took about 5 episodes for it to really sink in. Like it kept getting a little bit worse, but I was excusing it. I was in the honeymoon phase.
Yeah. So I'll say this about so I watched the first season for the first time last year, and there's one point when we were reacting to the 8th episode, and I realized what they were doing. I think I went to rage mode, and I went full prophet. I was channeling my inner prophet. And I think I threw something. I think I threw something, and I upset everybody in the house.
Yeah,
like I was literally hitting the pillow and all that. Especially when the Horn of Valir was buried under the throne.
Yeah, that was It was before that for me. Like I'd seen the flaws, but I was excusing them, hoping that it would get better later. And then the lesbian sex stuff happened, and I was like, this is completely unnecessary, and it detracts from the books. And so I'd started to see the light, and then the next episode they did the most egregious thing of all time, which I can't tell you why it's egregious because you haven't gotten to the point in the books yet, which would explain why it absolutely contradicts everything about the books. But they had they had the Amerlin seat of all people do something that is very, 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 very bad, and comes up later in like book 9, where you're like, wait, that's what the baddies did. And it's literally like a turning point in the books. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back. If you've read the books, you probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah. but don't spoil it for the book cloaks know what I'm talking about. That moment, I watched the episode and I was like, it was okay. Like Logain had some good acting in there, aside from like the fact that he just completely gets berated. It started off good. It did start off good, and then the bait and switch when he starts crying was like, oh. So I went to bed and I woke up in a heat sweat. My head popped off the pillow, and I realized, oh no, they've royally messed this up. I woke up in the middle of the night and it clicked, and from that point on, I've been fighting the show. I lost a whole bunch of subscribers because of it, but I got way more when the Wheel of Time came back. So, sorry, when the Rings of Power came out, I got a big influx there. I didn't get any influx for season 2 because no one watches the show.
No,
I tried covering it. No one's interested.
I watched season 2 because I read The Great Hunt. I read The Dragon Reborn, even though there was no Dragon Reborn in it whatsoever. I did it to share the pain of everybody else. But to keep this thing moving, let's bring in our other guest. He's the Book Cloak. If you have any questions, you got to ask him, and he's probably drinking. So what's up, Dane? How you doing?
I am drinking. How'd you know?
I don't know. It's
you had a premonition.
A nerporial intuition, I would say. So what are you drinking? What are you drinking, Dane?
I got some wine, but I could go get some other stuff if that makes you more comfortable.
Nope, it's fine. No, you can drink.
Okay,
you can drink whatever you want. So Dane, for initial thoughts on the Fires of Heaven?
I think. All right. From what I recall, you didn't like TSR too much because there were
I like parts of it. I like parts of it. My thing was I was expecting more. This book, like I put in that you said lower or temper the expectations, and so I'm reading this, and this is basically a slow burn that's building up to a big thing, and
it's the halfway point. It's set up, and then the second half of the book is just payoff.
The key thing. What I would say is you have to, if you recognize it's a slow burn, and if you recognize you don't have to wait for the next volume to come out, which was a big thing for those reading the series as it was coming out, it's easier to go through, but also to try and find enjoyment in the slow burn.
Yeah.
And there are parts in here, and hopefully tonight I can steer you towards some of them that are actually, they're fun little nuggets in this part that we're going to cover today. That, first time readers won't get, second time readers will breeze over, 8th time readers might not even understand. But if you've read this as many times as I have,
how many?
Eventually something will clue in. So hopefully Techmex here will get something out of this.
Hopefully,
well.
I'm excited. Well, I learned a bunch watching the other streams, which I did. Yeah.
No, you have to appreciate the characters. And the key thing, what Robert Jordan is doing, especially in what gets the largest detraction from this book, which is there's a lot of Nynaeve chapters. Nynaeve is unpleasant for a very, very real reason. And she gets good in a later book, also for a very good reason. And when you're able to step back and realize why she got good, it's actually quite funny.
Yeah, so we're not going to get up to that chapter. I did listen to it. I know what happens to her because of Egwene. I remember Alex talked about it. I didn't understand the context. Well, now I understand the context, but we're not going to get up to that point. But
that's not it specifically. But I mean, she was being a bit of a cow to Julian and Tom, even kind of crossing the border into Amadicia, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
And then like they rescued them, right? They came in and they rescued them, and she was not very appreciative. And
nope,
bunch of other. She doesn't get good until book 7. So
yeah, I can't wait to get to that. So, but before going further, we have another guest. We have the White Cloak himself, Alex, and Alex doesn't have an avatar. So, you there, Alex? How you doing?
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'll speak for him. I love that in your intro, his justification for why you should keep reading was just the sunk cost fallacy.
He's an engineer, not an economist.
Shut up! I'm here. Sorry, I'm going to be off camera. I'm sick as a dog, but I will.
Oh, dude, you don't have to. You don't have to be here. I mean, if you're not feeling good, take care of yourself. Rest. You don't have to be here.
Oh yeah, because it's so strenuous to sit here and shoot the shit.
I'm just saying. I care more about your health than.
I appreciate that. So long as you guys can tolerate my busted ass voice right now, I'll stick around with you.
Dude, you sounding sick is like 1,000 times better than how I sound. Like I can't stand the sound of the human voice, but you sound great, dude. You sound great. So
thank you.
Yeah, you actually sound better.
It gives you like a grizzly. It makes you more of a man, you know.
I've heard that. It sounds like I've spent the last 10 years smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day.
Haven't you?
I wish.
All right, but before we go any further, I want to say hello to the chat. So we got Whisker Fisherman here. We got John Soul. We got CLS Studio. We got some Toxic Book Cloak. We got John Douglas. We got Kyla Dare. We got, I don't know who this technically Mexican person is. He sounds like a jerk. Molinaire we got Dempsey. We got let's see, we got Staple Bow. And we got a Toxic Horse right here. What's up, Pips? And Jaden's here. What's up, Jaden? And we got the questioners. And I don't know if anyone else show up. Yep, nope, that's it. So yeah, thank you guys for
they'll be coming.
What's up?
I pinged some folks. In the Discord, so hopefully they'll find this entertaining.
All right, well, thanks, Dane. So why don't we get started? I figure we start with got a prologue here. So what happened in the last book? So apparently the Amerlin seat, Suan Sanche, got deposed by Elida and Alviarin, and of course, I suspect that Alviarin may who was part of the White Aja, well, maybe actually the opposite color Aja, I think. I don't know, but it seems like in this prologue, she's kind of running the High Council meeting, and Elida's just kind of sitting there pouting. He's like, nobody's paying attention to me. Nobody's taking me serious and everything. I just like how. So by the way, Suan Sanche gets stilled as a result, and they escape, and all the blues are gone. So I think it's only reds, and maybe a couple, a yellow and a green, and a couple whites.
So what happens as a result of the schism in the White Tower is all the blues end up leaving. This is only known a little bit later.
So did they get
reds? All the blues leave. All the reds end up staying, and all the other Ajas split.
So did they get wind of
roughly
what was
even.
going on and they fled, or did they just?
All the blues would have fled, but at any given time, about half the strength of the tower would be outside of the tower. That's the other thing.
I
So
see.
what comes to play out in later books or whatever is that it's kind of in thirds, whereas
Mhm.
a third of the Aes Sedai are in the tower, but those will all be reds and every Aja but the blue.
Mhm.
A third of the tower strength would be in Saladar, and then a third of the tower would be unaligned. So
Mm.
these were Aes Sedai who were out of the tower at the time and then didn't want to pick sides.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
All right.
But there's only about 1,200 sisters total, and I think only about 1,100 of them are named in the series.
Oh, interesting.
There's a lot. There's a lot of Aes Sedai.
and luckily, he had such brilliant forethought to make sure that they all started with either an A, an S, or an M. So,
Mhm.
Aside from, wait, give me a second.
Elida.
So
Varen, there's a Varen.
That's true.
There's also a Varen.
Yeah.
I
So
was trying to think of something more obscure. That's my excuse.
So I'm assuming
who's the bossy one who comes in later? I forget her name.
Cat Swain.
Cat Swain. There you go.
And I knew that too. But yeah, I know Varen. I don't think I'm assuming, and I might be wrong, but I think Varen's not going to be in this one because last time we saw her, she was in the Two Rivers.
Yeah.
In the last book, so I'm assuming she's not going to be. I'm assuming she's going to be sticking around in the Two Rivers for a while. I think. But I'm really curious. I remember us talking about her when she was introduced in The Great Hunt. I'm really curious where her story goes. Now, I kind of already know the twist of her. I'm just curious, how that all plays out. So I don't know anything other than the leading up to it. So I tried to stay as in the dark about as possible. So
did you look up a wiki?
Accident. Well, no, it was. I think it was a White Cloak stream. I accidentally was listening to when I probably shouldn't have.
It was probably.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons to not listen to the White Cloaks, but that's one of them.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I when I was doing.
I'm pretty sure we say spoilers like on a lot of that stuff. But
yes,
we didn't spoil the important part, which is
Right.
exactly how this all reconciles in his brain and why everyone loves this plot line. But
it's very.
Anyways,
good.
Brian, you'll find out. But yeah, you're right. Don't wait on Varen in this book, and don't wait on Perrin either.
Don't wait on Perrin for the next few books.
No. The next book is good.
You're right. He's in 6. He's in 6.
He's on 5. 6 is a dynamite one, and then it's just kind of like, man, I kind of regret Perrin being my favorite character for about
a third of the series.
Harsh but fair.
So I got a question. We learn about the Aes Sedai eyes and ears in this particular chapter in this prologue. Is every Aja have their own eyes and ears, or is there one that, or so they don't? So do
None
they
of them
actually
trust each other?
Okay, so I was curious about that.
It's part of it, but the Rhonda Makura woman, right? That Elaine and Nynaeve run into in a couple of chapters.
You're talking about the evil seamstress.
She's not evil, right? But she got instructions, and she happens to know an herb that affects people who can channel, which is an important plot point for later.
Mm-hmm.
But she was just following orders, but her orders were from an Aja at the White Tower that had split, but the people who are in control of the eyes and ears are tower aligned. So that's the other kind of key thing to note about the Aja splits. Only the blue is like purely rebel. Most of the other ones have kind of split even, but the infrastructure, the proper channels in place would basically be lying with the tower.
But the eyes and ears are why so many people got out, though. If you weren't at the tower, you heard very quickly through the grapevine that, and you see that in like chapter 11 or so. You see like the grapevine Swan talks to. Staplable was asking what chapter we're going to. Were we going to 10 or
22? 22, I thought.
12. Chapter 12.
12? Oh, God.
Yeah,
okay.
so we're going up
pared
to
back our ambition. Okay.
Yeah, so we're going up to the chapter where I think the last chapter 12 is
Gareth Bryn.
Gareth Bryn. Yeah, Gareth Bryn. Basically following Suwan and I forget. I don't even remember their names, but
it's butthurt Gareth Bryn trying to figure out why a woman spurned him.
Of course.
Gareth Bryn never did anything wrong.
I love him.
I'm curious. I'm curious where his story is going to go. So,
balls deep into spoilers.
Yeah,
balls deep into spoilers.
Right.
So
there's not a satisfying ending, but I'll lay that at Brandon Sanderson.
I'll say this about the prologue. This prologue, I mean, so Shadow Rising didn't have a prologue, and of course the first three had excellent prologues. I felt this prologue was mid compared to the first three. So I mean, you had the excellent Lews Therin in the Eye of the World. You had the excellent Dark Friends Social, and then you had the excellent White Cloak Pedro Nile speech to Jacob Carradine, and you had freaking Ordeith, and then you had freaking the Murdral threatening Jacob Carradine. I thought that was great. Like that really got me wanting to read the rest of the Dragon Reborn. And I read the first chapter. I was like, oh, and that slowed down my interest. So, but that's neither here nor there. I still really like the Dragon Reborn.
For future books, the prologue they morph into something different in later books, where they're kind of like they take all the peripheral characters, all the side characters that may not get their own chapters that frequently, and they'll basically touch base with all of them. And they can get pretty long in later books. Like there's 100-page prologue, I'm pretty sure, that comes up.
Because there's so much to account for. Because I think the main chapters mainly cover the main characters, but then again, even the chapters I think cover other characters now. Like it's more split. I know it gets more split as the series goes on. So, so this first part of the prologue starts with from Elida's point of view, and they're getting like report from all their different eyes and ears and all that. So apparently a few things to take note. So they talk about Caemlyn or Morghese making claim to Chiron. They also talk about apparently I think Galad is missing. I think that was revealed last time. Galad is missing. And I think Gawain's basically, they're not under the tower control, but I think they're still fighting with them. I forget.
Yeah. So Gawain kind of created his own rebel force. The younglings, tower aligned younglings, but it's hard for the Aes Sedai to get a handle on them, but they still kind of need them.
Yeah. And they talk about the Amathera, the Panarch, and all the stuff that happened in Tanchico. And the other thing that's interesting, they talk about is the Borderlands. So they talk about like apparently Saldea, Fael's father is taking the army trying to find Mazrim Taim, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. So I forget. Mazrim Taim was first mentioned is it book 2 or book 3?
Book 2, early on, because it's before Rand proclaims himself as the dragon.
Yeah.
And they start talking about more false dragons popping up. And there's one in Saldea that can channel, and they name him Mazrim Taim. And then there's another one down in Haddon Merk, which is the swampland north of Tyr. You never find out what his name is, but there's a notable part, I believe it's mentioned in The Dragon Reborn, that both Mazrim Taim and the fellow in Haddon Merk were defeated right at the same moment, probably, that Rand proclaimed himself, because the pattern didn't need another dragon.
Yeah, he pops up like right after Logain gets captured, basically.
Yeah. Taim does, yeah.
Taim, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But Taim and the whole thing around him to this point, that was also the excuse that was used to pull Siuan Sanche down. So officially, she got charged by Elida and the rest of conspiring to
free Taim.
To free Taim. There's a bullshit charge or whatever it is. But it
Because
seems
if I remember,
that
yeah, because remember
yeah.
correctly, they were stretched thin. I mean, they sent more people out to to recapture him. If I remember
not only
correctly.
that, Swan Sanche basically gave an order that Taim would be gentled on sight, which is also kind of extrajudicial. So, if anything, she should have been deposed for that, but she wasn't.
So what you need the council permission to or vote on it to get to
it's an easy
gentle
vote.
someone.
Like, you know you're going to gentle them eventually, but there's like a process to be held, and that's largely the process that they followed with Logain, right, where they kept him shielded the whole way back and do it in the tower, and it might largely be a reaction against how things had happened in the recent past, but you'll find out more about that. It's called the vileness. But that only really gets explored in later books.
Yeah, and I like how some of the paragraphs end with, and they did not ask her opinion. Yes, she is so she is not in, well. She's a puppet. She's not in control. And I like how there's a little bit of world building here. With we learn about that the last time the Red Ajah ran the tower, it was what was her name?
Bonwyn.
This is
Bonwyn.
This is my favorite White Tower fact. Is so you know that Ishii gets out for 40 years every 1,000 years, right?
Yeah, that was one of the few things I really found
roughly.
interesting in the glass columns.
Yep. So the only time you get a Red Ajah Amerlin is when Ishii gets out. So it appears that historic thing that Ishii does when he gets out is put a red on the Amerlin seat. And it's actually you can predict throughout history when Ishii was out based on when a red was in charge.
Oh wow. I thought this Bonwyn was the only time a Red Ajah. That was the last time a Red Ajah ran the
last
tower.
time.
Yes.
And then the previous one, because they rarely get to a red, but the previous one was the Amerlin during the Trolloc Wars, who withheld aid to Manetheren because she was jealous of the Queen of Manetheren.
Oh, I see.
So that's going into deep history.
Where did you get that Jamiel stuff from?
That's from the guide. So it's from the it's after the fact, but there seems to be like an official post-series explanation as to how Ishamiel was partially bound and what the rules were. But it seemed, every 1,000 years it came out.
So yeah, because he was Elend, Morden, Tedranai, and in the prologue. So I mean, but all the Forsaken were already sealed. So how was he able to?
Not in there fully. But as far as the mechanic of why did he show up when he did, that only got kind of written into canon afterwards. And there's no explanation, obviously, like why 1,000 years, why 40 years out. Like it doesn't make. It's not important.
Yeah.
He was 96% shielded and 4% out. It has always been my headcanon.
Mm-hmm. So just to move this along, so basically, Elida just basically says, where is Suwan? Where is we need to deal with Randall Thor and everything, and I'm trying to remember. So yeah, they bring up. I know that she has the painting of what happens with the Great Hunt. I want to see if anyone actually made a painting or art of of that moment, which everybody witnessed.
If you go back and this is the joy of the reread, Brian, but there's a chapter beforehand established that Min is walking through the streets of Falmouth, and there are a lot of kind of street artists of calling to her to try and draw her. Right, I'll do a sketch for you. Very common in bigger cities. Like I remember going through Paris as a teenager and having the street side artist willing to do a caricature of you. That's kind of the theme or motif going on there. And Elida has a genuine kind of eyewitness sketch of Rand.
Yeah.
That she purchased off the street. But it's definitely set up that this is exactly as you suspect.
Okay. I'd love to see that. And that's one thing I hated about season 2. I don't want to get too much into it, but what they decided to do with season 2 was just gross. It was just gross. Yeah. And the dragon, like channeling a dragon, and they're on top of a tower. Sorry. But can you guys answer this one? Didn't Bonwin manipulate the nations into fighting Hawkwing?
She tried to pull the strings behind him, tried to control him and manipulate him, and that's one of the reasons why Hawkwing lost his trust of Aes Sedai. The other reason being that one of Hawkwing's advisors was Ishamael, or at least he claims to be. Mm-hmm. But the triptych is essential. The triptych of Bonwin that Elaida has set up is essentially showing Bonwin kind of in her 3 phases and ultimately humbled.
Yeah,
and she was deposed for precisely this, trying to manipulate leaders behind the scenes, doing what she shouldn't have.
And she puts those up on purpose to remind herself not to do that, or to not get caught doing that.
By the way, shout out to Eldan. Thanks for being here. All hail the Lord Dragon. Oh yeah, and Gadfly's here too. What's up, Gadfly? 1,000 years is a typical length of time for an ambiguous age, and 40 years is the time between Jubilee years, more or less, which were holy years. So he lasts the length between the Jubilee.
Nerd.
Hey, this is Gadfly. Gadfly's a professor.
But to be more clear on the count, the calendar in the book series goes about 1,000 years, but then events happen and people can't agree on what year it is, so they go to a different calendar.
Yeah.
So it's not as easy as like 1,000 years. Okay, this happens and let's go on. It's more like 1,000 years, get the Trolloc Wars, and then at the end of it, people are like, what year is it? I don't know. Let's start a new calendar. And then they go for 1,000 years, and then Hawkwing happens, and then his empire crumbles, and they all fight, and then they go,
there's the break-in as well.
Fun. What year is it? So that's part of it. It's not like as simple as like 1,000 years, 40 years of Ishmael, 1,000 years, 40 years of Ishmael. People lost track of time, and that's why they introduced new calendars.
Right. So the last. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to just note that the first time I read this book, what a great way to start the story with Siuan Sanjay getting deposed. Like, that completely just threw me off of my game, and I did not know what to expect for this book.
So so that happened in the last book. So I'm curious.
Was that before?
Yeah, that was.
Okay, that was before.
Sorry, that happened. It blew my mind in book 4 then.
But it's a game changer. It's a major game changer, major shift in dynamics in the world. So, but I'm curious.
I read book 4 in 2 days to get ready for this stream.
All of Moiraine's actions that has been pissing off Rand in the previous book, but also the start of this one, is because Moiraine thinks Rand needs to do what she says, because don't worry, Siuan Sanjay is handling everything on the other side of the Dragon Walk. She is talking to King this guy and Panarch that lady and everything. And if you come over the Dragon Wall with a bunch of Aiel, you're going to fuck up everything. And then lo and behold, oh, Moiraine, what was your plan? She's dead, Jim.
Yeah. I did get that far in my listening, in my audio.
Oh, sorry.
My audio read.
I might be beyond chapter 12. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think you're good because the read that I always have. The more I reread this, is the Rand and Moiraine relationship is mother and son, and we've now reached the point in Rand's maturity where mom is right sometimes and son is right sometimes, and son is resentful that mom always insists that she's right even though there's evidence she's not. But mom is resentful that, she's been alive twice as long and has done X, Y, and Z, and her shithead kid doesn't listen to her. So
you totally relate with both of the characters too. because you can see Moraine is trying to be strategic about it. She's like, she's genuinely trying to protect him and make sure that he gets to the last battle alive. And she's being too strategic and making sure all the pieces fall into place. But what she doesn't realize is she can't control all the pieces. And so you got Rand who's using his heart instead of his brain to guide him in his actions, you know?
I'm going to argue that Rand also thinks with his balls a lot of times, because
there's
there's some instances where he's just like, all right, time to go punch a motherfucker in the face. what's the meme, the SpongeBob, the all reliable is just balefire written on it? Well, I gotta dig that meme out.
But yeah, we'll get to Rand. We start with him in chapter 2. But yeah, I like how Moraine actually ends up, actually being forced to basically do whatever, basically has to follow Rand's orders now, basically. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, I'm willing. She's like, I'm willing to do that. So,
well, she remembered how her power worked.
Yeah,
you have to surrender to it, and then you can control it. It's
it's the side.
It's a very sexist message, but I think it actually has a big ring of truth to it.
Yep, and then the male, you have to grab it and submit it to your will and all that, and you have to fight it. You fight it every tooth and nail step of the way.
And you seize Saidin, and I'm pretty sure he's consistent all the way throughout. You never embrace Saidin.
It's almost like there's a difference between men and women, huh?
You bigot.
Don't be bigoted.
Geez, man. I mean, we're trying. I'm kidding. But yeah, it's a very, very, very well thought out, system and all that. So, but to kind of wrap things up with the prologue. So, who I envision Alviarin? I envision her as a Vulcan from Star Trek, like very dispassionate, very unemotional and all that, kind of like evil Kirk and evil Spock, basically.
Yeah, but
that's how I see Elida and Alviarin, and they have their little staring thing, and they're like, okay,
the white Aja is all Vulcans because it's the logic Aja.
Yeah, and they don't usually don't give a shit about anything. So the fact that she cared about what Elida had to say, or was interested in what Elida had to say, tells me that there's more to her than meets the eye, so to speak. So that's why I think she is Black Aja. But that's just
you've also read chapter 19 of this book.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read it. I listened to it, but I did listen to so her and Padden Fane. But we'll get to that. So, but speaking of a Padden Fane, Padden Fane shows up. Yeah, spoiler. But Padden Fane shows up, and he's in the tower, and they're like, "Why does he want to see us? Like, men don't want to see us. That's out of the ordinary." So then we get to Padden Fane. So Padden Fane's witnesses, like they're like Elida and Alviarin's little conflict right there. He's like, maybe I can use this to my advantage because I'm evil. I want more Padden Fane. I don't want to just see him in 1 or 2 chapters and then he fucks off to the next book. I want to see what he's capable. I want to see what he's truly capable.
Prepare to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But
this is not making me look forward to the future. Okay.
No,
just his character. He just pops in and out and does stuff.
He wasn't done well at the end, but he was done well while Robert Jordan was writing it. But the key thing to remember with Padden Fane is the guy has a corrupting influence over a lot of people. So all those white cloaks he was with in the Shadow Rising.
Yeah.
They're not named, but anyone kind of in close proximity to him kind of got corrupted by his evil, and you'll see it in later who he joins up with in later books. They get corrupted by him. Just remember his corrupting influence on Elida, because it might actually end up making more sense of Elida in the future.
Oh,
that's all I'll say.
I never Elida that. But
Elida she's all right. Elida is kind of insane, but she goes kind of turbo insane in later books.
That makes
very
sense.
like comically evil, but a lot of readers the first time were like, "This is unrealistic." It's like, you're forgetting how much she was in contact with Padden Fane.
Wow, people say that that's unrealistic. Have you guys never met a Karen that's gotten a modicum of power before? Like, for all the people that
That's
say
a
that's
fair point, but there's Karen and then there's Elida. I think she's like
Elida
she's
is
got, like,
Dolores
3
Umbridge if
pussy
she
hats.
accidentally became minister.
Yeah.
Dolores Umbridge did become minister.
Did she?
Yeah, I think so.
Head
in book
of
7?
something. I don't know.
She became head of the school, but
And
But
who cares?
Why are we even talking about them? I like her.
So,
but it's total side point. All I'm saying is a lot of people, when they read the series, tend to forget the corrupting influence that Padden Fane would have had on Aes Sedai that he was in close contact with in book 5. That's all.
Okay, makes sense. Oh, by the way, we got a certain. He's late, but we got a certain Prophet of the Dragon here. What's up? What's up, Steve?
Yo,
the personification of Mashadar, right? Did I get the right one? Watching Sheen is the Black Wind.
Yeah, Mashadar is right. Look at this Mario looking kid.
I'm insane. Wait, you called me? Did you just call me Mashadar?
No,
he called you Mario.
I'll see
no,
you
I was
later.
talking about
Fuck you
Padden
guys.
Fane. I wasn't. Sorry.
Oh.
Prophet of the Dragon is the opposite of the personification of Mashadar.
I'm quite insane. So we're good.
Yeah.
Hi.
All right. So hi. Thanks for being here. You're
Sorry
late.
I'm late, man. Sorry I'm late.
I know. I know. You messaged me, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah, sorry. My dad takes priority over your punk ass.
Of course. Yeah. your
And
parents-
here I was thinking that the sole reason he wasn't actually invited, but only like fake invited, was that intro that you made.
I'm
where
always
Steve is
invited, Dane. Come on.
It's true. He is always invited.
Wait, fake intro? Wait, what? I'll have
Wait,
to watch
no,
the
I thought it
replay.
was a real intro.
Oh,
It was a real intro.
I'll watch the replay at work. So, where did I just train wreck us here? Where are we at?
We're still in the
We're
prologue.
Yeah, it's
We've been
about
jumping
45
around.
minutes
In the
into a couple
prologue.
hours stream, and we're in the prologue
Jesus.
still. I have this effect.
Oh my god. Okay, the prologue.
So you haven't missed anything.
Okay, all right.
So we just got through. So Padden Fane is hanging out with Elida, and then we meet Ravine, and we have a nice little. We don't even just meet Ravine. We meet or Lord Gabriel.
Ravine. Who's in Ravine?
Ravin.
No, it's not Avril Lavigne.
I don't know. I say Ravine.
Ravin.
Ravine.
Why are you calling him a
Ravin.
ravine? Ravin is much cooler than a ravine. Sorry, just saying.
I kind
I
of like
don't
it like
Robin
Ravin,
sounds
ravenous.
like rapist.
Okay.
Like
But we-
you're dead in a ravine after you get drunk.
Ravine.
Hey,
Ravine.
what's a
Ravine.
portmanteau of Ravine and Gabriel? It would be like grapist.
Huh?
What?
I don't know.
I'm
I
gonna
have no
pour
idea
myself
where.
What is happening?
I don't know what's going on right now.
Hit that
so-
Yeah,
clip.
this
What
will
is
be
happening?
on the intro
What is
for the
happening?
next one.
Yes, it will be. It
Where's
will
the
be.
clip?
You can,
What is
guarantee
happening?
it.
Hit it. Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna grape you in the mouth.
Wow. You know what?
That's what he
All right.
does.
All right.
Good night,
Here.
ladies and
Here.
gentlemen. What is like what are we doing? Like what is happening? Happening.
Oh,
indeed.
gold.
What is
So,
happening?
yeah. So, let's
I
get
look
let's
so
get
young.
back to.
I should get rid of my beard, huh? Sorry.
You should
Yeah,
not.
probably.
All right.
I don't know. I
Sorry.
have no idea.
No, I think you look wise.
Yeah, if anything, grow the top flow out. Like, let's get it down to the shoulders.
That or this? All right.
No,
all right.
the-
Sorry.
all
Nerd
of
Boy,
it.
sorry.
Here.
All of it
Mine-
just goes shaggy. Okay.
Mine was
Gets it
getting too
Nathan's
big. My
length.
wife stopped kissing me. So
You sure that's why, or was it smell?
no, there's other
My bad.
reasons. My marriage is falling apart. But you know,
I like the shirt though, Dragon Steel. Nice.
yeah.
So we meet. So in this part, we meet Ravin, and we meet other
Got it.
Forsaken. We meet Samael for the first time. I think he's supposed to be
Wait a second.
he's a shorty who is
Sawed-off little fuck.
Wait.
yeah. He's
Samael was cast in season 3. He is most definitely in Shadow Rising.
Did they announce the casting?
He's going to be.
He's got lines, so yeah.
Oh, they haven't said who it is though.
No, but
I have an interview. I haven't published yet of a possible casting. It'll be out
in
soon.
season 2.
I'm kidding.
They came to a temple of the Forsaken, even though it was just a bunch of statues outside and not really a temple. And if you freeze framed it and then like looked with like on a good TV, you could see that one of the 8 Forsaken statues was about half as tall as the others. They're going to make Samael a dwarf.
Yeah,
shocking resemblance to Matthew Broderick.
I think they should cast Kumail Nanjiani.
I don't know who that is, but I think
Silicon Valley.
Peter Dinklage probably wouldn't want to do another dwarf with a scar across his face. But Samael,
no, guys.
Samael was never a dwarf in the book. He was not as tall,
guys.
But Louis Theron was 6'6", right?
I got the perfect casting. All right, Pedro Pascal. He's good for everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Just put a mask on him.
I think he should play all of the Forsaken.
He can play all the parts. Right, exactly. At the same time, he just runs back and forth talking to himself. I like where you're thinking here. He'll just like run across the room and put a wig on. You're like, and then the make out scenes.
Just do the '90s thing, you know. He's got a wig. He's got a fat suit. He's got, you know. He's
okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, he'll cut his legs off. He's a method actor to be a freaking.
I like that we fixed the show in like 15 seconds here.
Okay, sorry, Nerporio. I am sorry. I have completely train wrecked this. All right. My bad. Okay,
well, yeah. So we meet. So Samael has a scar, and we find out. We learn that I believe we learned that Samael's very cautious. Like he won't attack unless he's like sure of victory or something like that. I think that was one of the things he's known for. And then we meet another one. Lanfear obviously shows up, and I think she's the one that basically convenes this meeting, kind of saying, "Hey, let's form a pact. Let's form an Eastern Bloc. You know, that 4 of us will beat. You know, 4 of us will fight the dragon, and who knows who else. We'll fight other frickin' Forsaken too, or something. I don't know. But we meet Graendal. So Graendal is another female Forsaken, not at the level of Lanfear, but still, I think
she's still hot,
plumply pretty or plumply beautiful or pretty. Yeah, and apparently, when they show the traveling the door, so apparently she is connected to this circus that everybody keeps talking about. I think.
Well, it's a harem. So
it's a harem.
Graendal, and I don't think this is spoiler. Graendal used to be an aesthetic, but when she turned to the shadow, she kind of did a full 180. So going from asceticism to pure kind of Epicurean indulgence.
She loves pretty things. Anything pretty. Yeah.
She basically, she's a compulsion master. She will find whatever she finds desirable and kind of wreck their mind. So it's pure hedonism for her. So that's the kind of evil that she represents.
Is she
kind
a master at it,
pleasure
though,
without constraint?
If she breaks everyone that she compulses?
Yes.
Because other people are more subtle with it, right?
Other Forsaken are more subtle with compulsion. Graendal will basically... She's the best at it.
She's the best at it. She doesn't care.
But she's not subtle.
She don't care if she breaks people.
Well, other Forsaken would be like, I like it when people serve me on their own terms.
Yeah, well, that's like
there's something lost if they get compulsed, and Graendal didn't have the patience for basically trying to.
I'm pretty sure Samael says that in this book. He's like you break everyone you touch. I would rather them like. I when I use compulsion, I want them to be able to keep their minds and their intelligence.
Yeah,
Moghedien says.
Well,
Moghedien says about the same thing.
She's capable of it. I mean, Natron's Barrow guy doesn't get completely. I mean, he's conscious enough.
Spoilers, Alex.
Well, look, Samael's a perfectionist. He won't attack unless it's assured victory, right? Graendal just doesn't care. She throws out that compulsion, like it's like, oh, hey, you're a pretty prince. I'd love to have. serve me in many other ways. Here, come to my castle. I don't care if you break. You can be my puppy until you go insane. She doesn't care. That's how I always took it. I mean,
have you seen The Tick? I mean, it's literally season 1 of The Tick, the human furniture guy.
Anyways, Brian, what's interesting about the Forsaken is how they represent different kinds of evil.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But Graendal is definitely kind of the indulgent, pleasure-seeking type of evil.
Okay.
Other Forsaken, Demandred is kind of the revenge kind of evil. You could say that. Here's another easy one.
Raven is lust.
Yeah. So they all a lot. I wouldn't say. Well, there's not a gluttony one, but you can kind of see where
Seven Deadly Sins type of deal.
Parts. So there's some that represent rage, others represent envy, some represent lust, and definitely Graendal's on that side of thing. It's thought out, but like they're different for characterization purposes. But anyways,
Asmodean is a glutton. There you go. No, I don't know.
It's easy if you think about it. It's just people that annoyed Robert Jordan, like archetypes that annoyed Robert Jordan.
Asmodean is sloth.
Asmodean is also pride, but he's more. Everybody hates the guy who brings his guitar to the party in college.
I think Alex is onto something here.
He's the hipster. Oh, sorry.
Yes, quite literally.
Okay. Gotcha.
Well, he's got thigh-high boots turned down with silver tops.
Yep. So I need to say thank you. You didn't have to do this, Steve. You didn't have to gift the membership.
Well,
but
if every time I do it, you turn off a mid-credit roll, I'll keep doing it.
Of course. And who got the thing? Gadfly. So Gadfly for the 10th millionth time has been rewarded a Nerporial membership.
We gotta build up our memberships again, man. I gotta start streaming again. It's happening.
So let's once again welcome Gadfly to the fold again.
I want to do it.
You're done. You are done.
There you go. All right, perfect.
He's back. Mike Ehrmantraut is back. I love it.
Wow.
I missed him.
So I think that pretty much covers the prologue.
And it's only been an hour.
It's only been an hour, so let's kind of skim through the
Siuan
stuff that happens in the first part of the first chapter. So apparently they accidentally they were kind of trespassing on a farm. And they burned down a barn and they kill a few cows because Logain they attacked Logain and Logain was fighting them, and they were just kind of there, and then Logain runs off, and then they get caught by the farmers, and then they're awaiting sentencing, and so
it's a portion of the book where Logain saves their ass repeatedly, and because they're all idiots out in the world.
Yep.
Logain's the best character.
Logain amongst the Min and Liana and Siuan and whatever their fake names are.
All I know is Serenla.
Yeah.
So
Serenla, Min, Mara Tomanes, and who cares?
I like how Min says she's Min, and I forget I forget I think she reveals she's Min to Gareth Bryn or something, and
Serenla Min. So she gives her new fake first name and then a last name Min.
Yeah.
And it means obstinate or stubborn girl or whatever in the old time.
I thought that was I like how I like how she just won't listen to Siuan. But yeah, so apparently the other highlight of this chapter is Liana's embracing her roots as a Domani woman, and is
slut, you mean? Oh, sorry, my bad.
Pretty much, yeah.
Raging slut, yes.
Yep. So she's trying to. So I couldn't help but think of I couldn't help but think of Super Troopers with the it's like, is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can do to get? And I think it works on Garrett Bryn. And they're like, oh, all you gotta do is swear to me that you're gonna pay this off. He ends up rewarding the plaintiffs or whatever money or something, and so they have to negotiate it, and they're trying to nickel and dime him, of course. But they have to. I like how Min's like freaking out because she can't. She doesn't think she's going to be able to swear an oath as good as Suwan and Liana can, and like they're all worried that they're going to be working the fields and they're going to be watched continuously. So if the better the oath, the less surveillance, the less they'll be watched when they work on Gareth Bryn's estate or something. So yeah. And then they get taken by what's the name of the dude that what's the name of Gareth's big man, strongman guy that just the kind of does all he's like the muscle. Can't think of his name. It was Joni. Yep. And they're riding to the state, and all of a sudden Logain basically knocks him off his ass and and then they basically rescues them. And I thought, okay. It was a very long chapter for pretty much just that. I don't know if there was anything that you guys wanted to add to that.
It's coming back. It'll be a minute, but this comes back for you.
Oh, does it?
Yes, it does indeed. For way too long.
Oh.
Yes, for an annoying duration.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get a Bryn segment where Gareth Bryn, finds out what happened, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to go after them. We're going to find out what's going on with them. I'm just going to go after them. I'm bored. I want to wear my hat. I want to wear my hat, and I'm going to go. We're going to go on a little trip. We're going to go find these people and find out what's really going on. So I think that's pretty much all we got from that. I think they also talk about like the events of the world, the what do you call it? I think they mentioned the dragon has been reborn, or Kalendor, Rand has gotten Kalendor and all that. And I think he thinks about Eye of the World when Rand was in the in the company of the Queen and all that, if I remember correctly. So. Yeah. I mean, I didn't. I mean, they were there just kind of to set up this story where I believe they're gonna where I think the Aes Sedai or the Blue Aja are gonna try to reconnect with or find and regroup with the other Blues if I'm guessing correctly.
Yeah.
So I mean, the only other chapter, and I might as well skip to chapter 11 since we're talking about Suwan. So we get a nice little Suwan chapter where the one thing that I kind of took away from this, and I was trying to think about the characters, think about how they're, changing. So we're in Suwan's head, and
oh god, yeah, we are
getting used to the idea that she's forgetting that she's not the Amyrlin seed anymore. That she can't just, choose somebody out and they just, take it and all that. So she's obviously, because she got stilled, she looks. If I remember correctly, they revert back to how they looked or how young they were, but they don't. One thing that this chapter is interesting about is that they don't look the same as when they were younger.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes.
So can you guys kind of explain that? I was
read and find out.
Read and find out. Yeah. It's definitely a read and find out.
So there's more to it. I wasn't sure if there was.
To it. For me, I guess it just reinforces some of the stuff that we've been saying about Aes Sedai, and I don't think we want to say any more about that than that. Yeah. I think that everybody else sort of knows what I'm alluding to, but it sort of fits into our wider theme of Aes Sedai aren't really as smart as they think they are.
Yeah. So every time when you said that to me, Steve, that's how I've been thinking. every time the Ice and I make a claim or something, I'm like, okay, they must be wrong, or they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, you need to take everything they say, especially as 100% fact, with a grain of salt, because more times than not, they're wrong. So
I don't know exactly what you're alluding to. So someone,
you know,
should send me a
what
Discord
about them being stilled and why they look younger now?
Yeah, no.
Do you want to text me? And
I'll
I can
shoot it
update
to
you?
you. Text me.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I think I might know. I'm
sure.
not
I'm sure as soon as he says it, you'll be like, "Oh yeah."
Okay.
All right,
Yeah, it's
so
gonna be awesome. You're gonna just be
all
like,
right, Whisker
"Oh,
Fisherman
crap."
TV for $5. Says Chapter 1, buckle up, boys, and watch the old lady walk past. Ha, loving it.
Is
So-
he talking about how slow the book is, or how slow we are?
I have no idea.
I think
I think that was a dig at me.
that sounds like a whisker fishermanism. That's what we're gonna call him from now on.
A Whisker Fishermanism?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
He's
Nothing.
an expert.
That's
He
a
can
lot
say
of
whatever he
syllables for
You'll have-
ism.
I think he was talking about how the first chapter is a lot of old lady Sawan kind of walking around, not Rand setting people on fire.
All right, let's keep this. So back to back to the. So they go to the 9-horse hitch, and they're trying to. So apparently the one lady who was in the 9-horse hitch, what's her name? Duranda Tharn. So basically, it's a very 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 loud, very very
The true hero of the series, right there.
Who?
Duranda.
The true hero of the series.
He's being a
Yeah,
smartass.
exactly.
'Cause we all wanted to see Suwan's legs.
Yeah. And
Not
I
bad.
just like how she
Dressing her
chooses.
down.
Yeah, I just like
Yeah.
how she dresses her down, and then we get she's like, you have no right to do that. She's like, yeah, I do. Who the heck are you? I don't know you. You're just a messenger.
Stupid
that
messenger.
stupid girl.
Oh, it's
and
gonna be real
everything.
fun when the show gets this far and Suwan has to act modest.
Didn't you know? Wait, they're doing Crown of Swords
Sawan
already.
is not making it into this.
Yeah, I thought they were already doing Crown of Swords. Like, come on. I'm just kidding. Sorry. Being a dick.
Just how we are 1 hour in the stream. That's 12 chapters long. we're gonna try and make this quicker. Try to do this character wise. So we're getting the Min stuff. We're getting the Min and Suwan stuff out of the way right now. So yeah, Suwan. Anything you guys want to add about Suwan and Mistress Tharn? And so Sally Dara is. They have to go find someone named Sally Dara in order to reconnect with their eyes, the blues, eyes and ears, and all that.
I like Swan's. Oh, sorry, you raised your hand.
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
That there's a sex reference in the name
whole
of the
book.
tavern.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sally Dara is a sex reference? I had no idea.
No.
I'm kidding.
Not the 9-horse hitch, but I think you find it out in the later Gareth Bryn part, where it's like the name of the place. I forget what it's going through, but it's like the signpost, at least on the to get into the tavern, was like a topless chick. So it was a very rough and tumble place.
Did Alex tell you what you missed? Did you get the text? I'm curious if you caught up to what you missed there.
Yeah, I got it.
All right, cool. Just making sure.
I knew about that. I didn't know that's what we were referring to.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So we get something. We get like another Min. We get another Min portion of this, and apparently, she just wants to. The takeaway of this is, we got to get the heck out of here because Suwan looked at a white cloak the wrong way, so they have to leave right away. And she's looking at how Leon is flirting with everybody, and she's like, Rand never looks at me twice. I need to learn Liana's art and everything. So yeah, and that's pretty. Not much to discuss there. So
I will say I do like Swan's perspective in like how she's trying to stay optimistic and trying to find like benefits to being stilled. Like, oh, hey, I can lie now. That's a plus. Let's look on the bright side. I think that those chapters are very interesting to see someone who just had so much power, just turned into nothing in an instant, and
I agree.
Recovery, trying to keep going.
I agree. I agree with that. I mean, I mean, when I initially listened to it, I didn't really, take much away from it. I thought it was kind of boring. But then when I actually read it and started taking in, what was actually, all the details of what's going on, the context of what's going on, and the character. Yeah, I actually enjoyed this chapter.
Well,
so
also Leanne just sort of slips into her new role. She's fine with it. She's like actually cherishing it. Like it's like okay.
Well, I mean, you have to. I mean, you got to fill that hole with something. I mean, it was initially Aes Sedai. She got to fill that hole with. Now with love, and with love
that
and
hole.
Exactly. I mean,
the conversation between
finds a lot of love.
Yeah, Swan yells at her, "Hey, you don't have to do what I'm doing, but you got to find something."
She's like, "You don't have to fill your holes."
They're just trying to fight off the big sad guys.
The big sad.
The big sad. So, since we covered Suwana, right? Let's cover the last Gareth Bryn chapter right now. we're gonna save Rand for last. Rand, the best stuff.
Gareth Bryn died.
I don't think he died, but he's right behind them. They're
wish he did. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they're still following them. They're in Lugard. So by the way, the Suan and Gareth Bryn, they're in Lugard, where I think isn't Patton Fane from Lugard?
Yes.
So is Lugard a city or is it I forget, is Lugard a city or is it like a territory? Because they mentioned Morandi, so is Morandi the
Lugard is the capital? Lugard is the capital city of Morandi.
Yeah,
but Morandi is not a very strong country because its nobility can't get their act together.
So
it's kind of like
that's why the White Cloaks are there, right?
I see.
Think of Lugard as Johannesburg to Morandi, South Africa.
Okay. All right. No.
It's not a perfect comparison, but there are incidences of medieval countries that are kind of more the city than they are kind of the wider countryside.
I see. So I like how there was one part of this chapter I really took away that I liked that kind of made it kind of ranked. I mean, I've never been in the military. But I like how when I think Gareth told a story and they talked about every asshole had to serve on the border of Morandi or something, the Camelin Morandi border. They all kind of laughed and cheered or something like that. I thought that was an interesting. I thought that was an interesting moment that this had, and they talk about I think apparently Gareth had some sort of encounter with Suan, and I forget, he had some encounter with Suan and Elida, and they had to move. He had to move the guards back from the border but they didn't give him a reason. They didn't give him a reason because Aes Sedai, don't have to give you a reason. So
Suan and Elida big timed him.
Yeah. So I forget. Yeah, that's right. Elida was, because I think at the time. So Elida was, I think the advisor,
while Gareth Bryn was the captain of the guard.
Yeah, and then because of Elaine's disappearance, I believe in the Great Hunt, then Elida gets expelled, and then Elida needs something to do, so she deposes Suan or something. So. I guess so, but yeah, I don't know what else. Is there anything else to take away from An Old Pipe chapter 12? I'm trying to see. It doesn't seem like there's much else.
Just the awesomeness of the look. Hey, old guys, we're all bored. Nobody wants to hang out at the house and smoke. Let's go do some shit. Let's go spend a week in the saddle and be soldiers again. Is kind of amusing.
Let's go hunt down some women.
Right.
Yeah, and I like how they're all described they're all older, but they're all hard, and they're all still very strong and ready to fight. So I'm,
Max, that's the most dangerous game, isn't it?
Hunting women.
What is the joke? The always be wary of an old man in a profession where men die young. Like that's Gareth Bryn to a T.
Oh yeah, there was a story that he did tell. Like he was curious if Mara, or Suwan is a dark friend or something, because I think they noticed that I think they noticed that the White Cloaks may be after them, or they're asking questions about them.
Yeah, but
and
he also, in their view, betrayed the unbreakable oath.
Yeah, they
Right?
swore.
All of them swore under their hope of
Yeah.
light and salvation and rebirth or whatever that they
And
would.
they even
obey.
said that that's a promise that only a dark friend would break.
Yeah. So
Dun, dun. Oh, sorry.
So there was something that I didn't notice. I had to reread the paragraph. He brings up very briefly a messed up story where they hung like a 15, I forget, a young like a 15-year-old dark friend that was basically telling children to embrace the great Lord of the Dark. And then we find out that he murdered some of those kids or something, and then they hung him.
Yep. Gareth Bryn is anti-groomer.
Yeah.
Gareth Bryn is the best, by the way. He's awesome.
So
Yes.
it's right here. But then he had seen a baby-faced young fellow hanged in Camelin, a dark friend who had been teaching children in the streets about the glories of the Dark One, the great Lord of the Dark, he had called him. The lad had killed 9 of them in 3 years. And I was like, 9 of them. And I'm like, I read the sentence again to be clear, and it's kids. He had killed 9 of them in 3 years. So serial killer, as near could be discovered when they looked like they were turning him in. And then of course he's like, no, that girl can't be a dark friend. But that was the other thing that kind of took me by surprise. A little couple of sentences right there. So
Gareth Bryn is a hard man. Like doesn't flinch.
Yeah. It's very honorable. Wonder if he would be Ned Starkish. Do you think?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know enough about the character.
Ned Starkish is a good
because
because
Ned Stark, first time we meet him, he's basically teaching his son. I'm bringing up Song of Ice and Fire, but he's basically showing his son what it's like to he who passes the sons must swing the sword and stuff. So and then him recounting a sentencing, hanging a person. So just made me think it's Ned Stark. Different, yeah. It's not.
Gareth Bryn's about twice the age, and he never kind of had the family. So
is he? So he's like what? So he's like in his 60s at
he's
this
in
point.
His 60s, yeah.
All right, so he's like close to retirement age. All the men that served under him were about the same age, roughly. Okay.
And he never got married, never had a family. So he's very different from what I would say is it. Maybe not in temperament and outlook, but as far as a character goes, like Ned Stark's whole thing, as you know, is about his family at the end of the day. And Gareth Bryn is lacking that. And a large part of what is motivating Gareth Bryn to kind of go off and do something is precisely because, well, what else does he have?
Yeah.
He's got nothing at Core Springs to kind of hold him down.
Is he Vin Diesel?
Gadfly called it out earlier. Gareth Bryn is Don Quixote. And in this sequence.
It's about family.
And tilting at windmills.
Yep.
Just going off for an adventure for the sake of it.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, so
it's been like an hour and 20 minutes, and we're at now chapter. No, I
thought we were going by characters now.
Yeah. We are going by characters. We're covering
we finished
Suwan
all 12 chapters. Gareth Bryn's chapter 12. So.
Okay, good. We're done. That was a good stream.
Bye.
Well done, boys.
My favorite is when Gareth Bryn makes a certain person do his laundry.
That's later. Spoilers. Although I think Brian knows who that is because he's read that far.
Outstandingly based.
It's like, bitch, do my laundry. She's like, Urgh.
So I figure now would be a good time we could talk a little bit about Nynaeve. So the 3 chapters, the Nynaeve and Elaine stuff. So
Good
apparently,
stuff.
so yeah, good stuff indeed. So
I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because it's funny.
Mm-hmm. So
it's
like
very, very funny. Just how like put yourself aside. Like she's absolutely insane. You're in her freaking worldview, but she's just being crazy throughout all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's in the later chapter where she's like hammering for like more speed, and then like changes her mind. Like a page or two later, she's like, "What are you doing? Like, are you gonna break our necks? Like, slow down, you maniac!" I think that's in a later bit or whatever.
Yeah.
After their whole thing with Rhonda Makura, where they decide to kind of go incognito, and Nynaeve has to be the lady's maid. She really chafes under that. But
I got a question about that. By the way, I liked I did enjoy the White Cloak encounter and Nynaeve pretending to kiss their butt, kiss their asses and all that. It's like, oh, you want because I think they're moving, like they're pretending to be like dye merchants or something like that. So yeah, so we what's up?
This is the worst sequence in the entire series.
So I remember you said, I think you said it not too long ago, all the way from skip all the way from chapter 8 to chapter 19.
No, it's funny.
No,
Alex is being mean.
Elaine flirting with Tom is the absolute worst. I don't think
that happened in the earlier book.
Yeah, it started in the Shadow Rising, and it's one of the things I did not like about the Shadow Rising. I was like, I wanted to see Tom do some awesome shit, and instead we get that.
Look, all I'm saying is they don't have paternity tests in the Wheel of Time era, and while I don't think it's happened, this is not Game of Thrones. Incest is not wincest.
No. Yeah, and I forget. It's because I'm away from Rand or something. I forget what her excuse was. It was so stupid and all that. So I forget, when does Elaine get bad? When does Elaine get bad? Is it this book, or is it the next book, or is it the book after?
It's a lot. Well,
it
depends on who you ask. Hunt. Some people would say exactly that. Like Elaine's bad from the outset.
Elaine's bad. Elaine was annoying in The Great Hunt. What's up, bro?
A lot of people have problems with her later story arc, which I enjoyed. So,
well, I mean, when a girl only has one leg because an arrow's been shoved with it, what do you expect?
Hey.
So I mean, I wish. I mean, the thing is, they're being pursued by the Black Aja. I mean, it's stated. But what's funny was I didn't feel, and this is my expectations have been way tempered per your advice, Dane, but it would have been nice to feel a little fear for them and all that. I mean, there was a little fear with the White Cloaks, because the White Cloaks, there's always tension when you bring up, well, actually, no, that's not true. White Cloaks are like they always dispatch cartoon style, so far at least. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. This is the beginning of Empire, where Han is fleeing from the Empire and the Millennium Falcon, and for the first time, Star Destroyers seem lame and incompetent and boobish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, I kind of wish there was that.
I don't think that's a fair thing to say, because the White Cloaks aren't a threat, but we've kind of already established them as kind of being not a threat. So it is what it is. They go into the village, and then they get poisoned by the Rhonda Makura woman.
Yes,
and you know why they went into the village in the first place. And it's the funniest thing is because Tom bought 3 pounds of beef and no vegetables, because men. Jesus,
I'm like, exactly. Isn't that the best?
It's just like, it's so.
What's wrong with beef?
Yeah, what's wrong with beef? Well, I guess
especially because if you're traveling and you have to salt it to keep it from going bad. You can't really do that with, lettuce.
Veggies.
Exactly. Maybe there was no lettuce, but anyways,
but yeah, it's because of the difference. Once again, the difference between men and women is why they went into town in the first place.
Yep, but it's
but
even
the best thing is
take
how it gets solved, right? Sorry, Alex, am I stealing your thunder?
No, go ahead.
The sole reason why they got rescued is because they left into town in a huff, and one of them decided to follow them, being like, well, "Uh-oh, they're going off on their own. We better make sure they don't get into trouble."
Yeah.
And then they got into trouble.
Of course they did. I got a question though. I got a question. Did they establish the because they figured out, Elaine and Nynaeve figured out that sign on the seamstress's door on Makara or whatever her name is.
Yep.
What was the sign? Was it like a sign that they're part of the what do you call that again? Their eyes and ears network for the yellow Aja. So they have like a yellow bouquet of flowers and wrapped around the lacers. I don't remember what it was exactly. So and then they go in there. They go in there, and I'm reading this. I'm like, there's obviously something wrong here. There's too much red flags going up, and they don't see through it. They're like, we have. They're like, what's going on? What's the emergency? And like, wait, we have to get you the tea. We have to get you the tea. And they're like, well, why can't you just tell us now? Because we got to get you the tea. It's so, and they drank the tea anyways, and then they. And then, then they have a 007.
Really important. Okay.
Yeah, and then they had the 007 moment, and Dr. No throws the dish down, tries to attack her, and is like, nope, he ain't attacking me. It was so weird. And then you have Lucy, the assistant, who's squealing the whole time. Like, I can only imagine them trying to adapt that, and they probably would. You think they'll adapt that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
You don't think so?
No, they
haven't adapted anything yet. So
well,
they start there?
The difference is they'd be rescuing themselves. They would not be rescued by Tom or Julian's not going to be a thing.
Maybe.
Tom is dead. I mean, as far as right, Steve, Marilyn is dead.
No, Tom is actually in season 3. I don't know what he is, but he's like a.
So he probably got stabbed, and he probably came back the same way. The same way
Brian,
Loyal
just
came
to be
back.
clear on this.
Exactly. You're right.
Right. There's a very incoherent scene in the second season of the TV show where Leandrin brings a bunch of drugged and unconscious accepted through the Waygate. And then the Shanshan...
Who were willing to just follow her there.
The Shanshan pick them up and put them next to a tree and then retreat 40 feet away.
True.
Only to later... everyone wakes up and they can escape.
Well, you forget
simply because in the books they were not unconscious. They were duped, but they thought, well, them being duped by such an obvious villain made them look worse. Let's just make the Shanshan look completely ridiculous. So they will literally pick up the people they were meant to enslave, put them off on the side, and then retreat from them to give them a chance to escape. That's literally what happened in the show. The blocking in the show.
Also forgetting that Leandrin would have to shield them the entire time they travel through the ways.
Well, but you forgot that, guys. They went into the big, wide open pasture with an invisibility dome around it, so they couldn't find them. Wide open spaces are safe spaces in Wheel of Time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, guys, they did walk 10 feet away. Like, you can't expect the Shanshan to find them.
Into like the plains of Africa, where you can see for 800 miles, but they couldn't find them. They went too far.
So yeah, this is this is Aldan's take. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So figs and mice, I like how Julian's like, I forget what did he say he was gonna do to them. Like, I like how they're trying to get information. He's like, get me the salt, and then they all start.
It's not gonna take much. All I need is some salt, and then they start confessing, and then it gives you the tricks, right? It's just name something randomly that could be used, and whatever the potential victim thinks could be it.
Yeah,
it's going to be so much. So and figs and mice, like I've heard stories of like medieval torture, and I think this is where it comes from, and perhaps also it's from like in Game of Thrones they use this with like Tickler, who's the torturer in the second book.
Yeah. So and so we don't know exactly what the Tickler does.
But you put a mouse on someone's belly and like an iron pot around it, and you heat up the iron pot, and the mouse has no way out other than to like burrow through the flesh.
Yeah,
we've all seen Too Fast, Too Furious.
I have.
Oh yeah, it's about family.
Eva Mendes in that is delightful.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Why did she stop doing movies, man?
Is there wait?
She got
Is there a
married to a
rat
rich
torture
guy.
scene? Oh, okay.
What?
Yeah, she is, isn't she?
Yeah, the evil doctor from Nip Tuck is the evil doctor or evil crime boss in Too Fast, Too Furious, and that's how he tortures info out of corrupt people in his organization. It's a fantastic movie. I love it.
Great.
They jump
Too
a
Fast, Too
Challenger.
Furious? Yeah.
They jump a Challenger onto a yacht in Miami.
Oh God, yes, priceless. They get them. Yeah, it's about family.
It's always about
and they don't
family.
keep the money. I mean, what is wrong with them? Keep the money. What are you doing?
Yeah. Also, I think it may just be a straight up Vietnam reference.
What, family?
No, the rat torture scene.
Figs and mice.
Just kidding.
I don't think they have figs in Vietnam, but I'll forgive
but
that.
you know, never mind.
Plenty of mice.
Plenty of imaginative rat torture scenes.
Lovely.
The point of the scene, though, is, and RJ is exactly right in this, is if you really want to extract information from someone,
yeah,
you let their imagination do the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah. So you don't. Yeah. So yeah. Don't just don't be very vague in what you're intending. Just yeah. Nice little psychological thing right there. So, but yeah. So I mean, other than that, anything else? I don't think there's much else to talk about with these chapters. So let's move on to the cream of this stream's crop.
Matt laying pipe.
Matt laying pipe. All right, so we're back in the waste. Roydion is now settled, and so Rand is staying in a nice little building in there, and apparently we're basically we're catching up with everybody. This was chapter 2 was a recap chapter, so apparently they're taking the redstone door frame. Someone nearly falls into it. I like how Land is introduced. He just grabs the guy, like the guy's falling head first into the door frame, and then he pulls him out, yanks him, and throws him. That is not going to be in the show. That will not be in the show at all. Because I can't imagine Daniel Henney doing that. Can you guys?
If Daniel Henney can bench his own body weight, I would be very impressed.
But yeah, so we get the meeting of we get him meeting with the six I think 6 of the chiefs. So I forget there's
I just want to say, if someone fell through the red doorframe ter'angreal and Lan was there and it was the show, Daniel Henney would get on his knees and cry.
Would he twist his nips?
No, not you. You're my favorite of Hadan Kadir's dark friends.
You know what I think would be great, and I hate to bring this up. That one dude, what's his name, Maxim? Or no, yeah, Maxim. Let Maxim fall into the red doorway.
Who blows the showrunner?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then.
Oh, you're saying maybe he could go through?
Maybe, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He goes.
You really want to spend 2 episodes on Maxim's adventures in the red doorway?
No, it would be great as if like Lan tried to pull him out, and he was going through, and then it was like Stargate, and then all of a sudden the like door frame stopped, and then he got like cut in half.
We got like half of Maxim coming out.
What if they like melded together and we got like Maxim?
I don't think that's possible. There's a limit to how much gayness one body and like entity
true.
can.
It's true.
This is very, very true.
You're not wrong. Sorry, that
We've
was a stupid
speculated on what would make the show worse, but the ironic thing is it will be worse than what we speculate.
I'll be honest.
I was shocked by season 2. I knew it was going to be bad, but man,
There's no way to like. That's what I've always been saying to these folks is like, you can't anticipate how bad it is because your mind isn't built that way because you have an IQ above 70.
Oh boy! All right.
Sorry, Brian. We've hijacked this stream to shit on the
It's
show.
all my fault. It's all my fault.
It's really not. It's like maybe 80% your fault, but 20%.
Yeah,
is
80.
mine.
I'll take that.
well,
I'll take
it's
that.
hard to reread the books and not just get pissed off all over again, you know?
So
even books that they haven't even fucking corrupted yet.
Yeah, no. Like I rereading book 4, I got to the moment where Perrin comes home, and he's like he goes talks to Egwene's parents and says, "Hey, your girl's fine, everybody's alive," and she's like, "Oh yeah, we know. Egwene and Nynaeve have both been writing us a bunch of letters," and then he's like, "Oh crap." And he feels real guilty because he didn't write his family, and then finds out that they're dead. And it's a wonderful moment in the books where it shows the difference between men and women, how we think. And of course, season 2 opens with Perrin writing letters to all of the girls and talking about his
text
feelings.
message.
It's a wonderful
And
message.
the
that
letter
Perrin
arrived the
did.
same fucking day.
Yeah.
definitely watch our Chillporial for further information. Right, TacMax?
Yeah.
There we go.
But yeah, I literally called my brother up. I'm like, I was ranting for an hour about that. It shouldn't be that important, but the show just screws up on tiny things like that. You know, they just clearly don't care or haven't read the books. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know
either,
what to
either
say.
that or they have read the books and it's nefarious. You know, which is worse. You know,
they've read the books and they hate him.
They read the books and they want to feel used. They want to feel like they're being creative, so they create crap. They create inferior crap. That's what I think is going on, and they're doing this with everything because I mean they no talent whatsoever. But to kind of keep things going, so only 6 of the clan chiefs are there out of the 12 Aiel. So the Shido are pretty much against Rand. And I believe the rest of them are basically inflicted by the bleakness because of what Rand did. So in the last book, Rand reveals to the entire all the Aiel what their actual history, is, and how they were part of the Way of the Leaf, and that they didn't they violated their Gato. To a point where they just can't. How did you put it, Dane? That they could never repay it, basically, and it's a cultural shock.
Yeah. So, if we remember, one of the first Aiel we meet in the series is Urian, who runs into Baron and Perrin and Ingtar and company in the Great Hunt.
Yeah,
and he mentions to them that they are in the Threefold Land, and the Threefold Land is named as like a shaping stone and a trial ground and a punishment, right? Shaping to like make them into what they need to be, trial ground to prove their worth, and then the punishment for the sin. And they don't know what the sin is. The other things that we know about the Aiel are how few people they actually interact with or tolerate. So the Kyrianan they used to tolerate, and that made Kyrian rich until Laman's sin, and they could no longer trade across. Peddlers and gleemen, and then the Tinkers were a little bit different in that they wouldn't approach the Tinkers, but they wouldn't harm them either. So Tinkers could go into the Aiel Waste, but it was kind of weird. But finally, what this is meant to establish is that all of the Aiel kind of know that they don't like Tinkers, and they know they're being punished. But they didn't know why they don't like Tinkers, and they didn't know why they were being punished. living where they were.
Did only the
Ran-
did only the Chiefs know the reason, because they're the ones that went through that? They go through the glass columns, and they cannot repeat. So what happens in Roydian, what they experience in Roydian, stays in Roydian.
It's like Vegas,
because it'll break their society if they tell anyone about it.
Exactly.
But also, it's like two out of three that kind of go through those columns end up like Muradin and claw their own eyes out rather than.
Yeah. So
This-
why? So why were
this
they?
is my
Why,
favorite world building from the. It's so freaking cool.
the glass columns? Yeah.
No, just the Aiel and their past.
The glass columns, basically.
Yeah.
And it's so different from what they used to be, but also it's a history that so few can accept. And the wonderful thing too is how what you learn about Jieto, honor and obligation, and how seriously the Aiel take it, helps to inform your worldview of why is this so difficult for them to accept, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for a lot of like a modern audience, like if you were sitting in the middle of Al Kardal, the Golden Bull, and you heard, oh wait, we used to follow the way of the leaf. That's what the clan chiefs know, but you don't know. But that's exactly why we stay away from tinkers, and that's exactly the sin that we're being punished for here. So those are the things you would have heard, right?
It's
Also-
not even
also
saying
why
like,
they-
hey,
also why
your
they don't
entire
use
religion is a
swords.
lie. It's your religion is the opposite of what it should be.
Yeah. And the whole swords thing too. Like, but the swords thing is kind of like how the initial Aiel, or what became the Aiel, justified it to themselves, right? A spear can still put food in the belly of someone who is hungry, but a sword is a weapon purely for killing another man. It serves no other purpose. That's how they rationalized it. That's how they thought at the first splintering of it, that you could still follow the principle of the way of the leaf, and then they just morphed so much far from it. But at the same time, you've got this Jieto culture, which is all about honor and obligation. And if you do something that dishonors even the slightest, like you get touched in battle and you decide to spend a year and a day as a virtual slave to somebody else, well, that's what's affecting the Aiel right now. It's a bleakness. And because it's not a individualist culture, it's very much a sept clan group identity culture. That translates well into feelings of what their ancestors did, because like my ancestors probably ran slaves from Africa to America. Do I feel any guilt about that? No, because that's not me. That wasn't what I did. Why should I? But the Aiel, it's something entirely different, right?
Yeah.
It's a collective guilt mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So if their ancestors violated Jieto in the most fundamental way, a lot of them are basically feeling, I've just incurred a debt that cannot be repaid in my lifetime of serving as Gaishan, or any lifetime serving as Gaishan.
How did they come by that conclusion? Like, how did they calculate that insane debt? Like, I mean,
well, they looked at it as how many generations of Aiel were there that didn't follow the way of the leaf, plus how many generations, as Tecmex said, weren't loyal to the Aes Sedai. It's just a cascading and incredibly.
It's also just a mutation of how the Tinkers think, like, because they were the Tinkers, right? And it's they're dedicated to peace. Like, they have very similar structural approaches to their way of thought, right? And when it transitioned into becoming like a warfaring people, they still have those like ingrained honor mentalities. Like, I love the parallels between the two, not races, right, cultures, and how it's just slowly corrupted over time. And it's not that they weren't faithful to the Aes Sedai, it's that like you find out their great betrayal of the Aes Sedai was losing their relics, and the only reason they lost their relics is because there weren't any Aes Sedai to give them to. because they all died, and you're like, that's just heartbreaking, you know. So like they just have this extreme honor. They've already, it's already ingrained in their culture, and when they leave that culture, like they transition, but they still have those, you know, those echoes of that. It's just beautiful. It's such good world building. I love it.
So so Tech-Mex, I know you have to go. So is there any final thoughts on Rand, on this cluster of Rand chapters? You know, Asmodean, the Balefire, and the Dark Hounds. Anything you want to add about those?
I love the dynamic between Rand and Asmodean, and I won't say anything more about that because it's spoilers. But this book's great. The foreshadowing too, like there's like stuff that happens in these chapters that is very important for later on in the book, that it's just wonderful foreshadowing and world building to just build up to arguably one of the best books in the series. I think it's either this one or Knife of Dreams.
So yeah, I like that. I mean, I've told you this. I like the glass columns. I like that type of world building. I wasn't, but I don't know. I was hoping the Aiel would be more mysterious. I was hoping they'd be a little more dangerous, a little more unpredictable. Maybe I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out.
Are you saying that you understand all of Avienda's lessons, like the first time she tells it to you, and the Aiel are no longer a mystery whatsoever?
There's a lot more to dig into with the Aiel.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So
it's also one of my favorite gun control analogies, where they're yeah, you can't use a spear because a spear can be used to hurt people. If we ban swords, then nobody will be able to hurt anybody.
Oh my gosh!
Completely ignoring spear crime.
Yes, exactly.
Aiel on Aiel crimes are way higher than Aiel on Andorians. Okay.
Yep.
Problem solved.
Yep. Sword control is clearly not the answer.
All right, but yeah, Tech-Mex, thanks for joining us. Definitely, if you guys are still here, go and support his stream. You guys are covering Madam Web.
Yeah.
God, why are you doing such a thing?
Oh, you're gonna get like 2 viewers.
I forced all of my co-hosts to watch Madam Web. It was actually a lot of fun. I was laughing the whole time, and we gotta go talk about that. So,
Madam Web.
So you're responsible for like half of Madam Web's ticket sales, then?
Yeah, really.
I'm pretty sure anybody that watched Madam Web was just to fucking bash it.
Yes, we can basically divide Madam Web's box office by $11.99 and figure out exactly how many people have YouTube shows shitting on bad superhero content.
So it would be
honestly,
Critical Drinker.
It's funny.
Nerdrotic, Shadiversity, Tech-Mex, and a couple others.
There are moments in this film where, like, I was uncontrollably laughing. The whole theater burst out laughing. Like,
wait.
It is funny.
And by whole theater, you meant 7 people?
There were 10 in my theater.
Okay, all right.
Wow. Did you ask any of them to guest stream for you?
No.
By the way, Miss Marmuse, thank you for the 99-cent super sticker.
I gotta go or I'll be late, and I've got like guests coming on too. So.
Oh my! All right, man. Thanks for being here.
Yep.
All right, and then there were 4. So going back to the chapter. So Rand gets some assurances that the other tribes other than the Shido are going to eventually join him. So I'm curious how that plays out. And then we get a nice scene where the leaders leave the room, and then Moraine and Egwene show up. And so Moraine's basically trying to, if I remember correctly, apparently they have I forget, they're carrying one of the seals. I'm trying to remember what exactly happens. I'm trying to remember what happens here. I forget why is Moraine.
So there is one of the seals to the Dark One's prison that was found in Ruidian.
Yeah.
And she explains that it's no longer a seal. It's no longer Quendiar because she can strike a flake off of it. And if they're not careful, it can break.
So yeah, so it becomes brittle because of the Dark One, right? If I remember correctly.
The Dark
One's influence.
It's been influencing all the seals, but I mean, there's no other way to explain why 3 of the seals are already broken.
Yeah, because I'm assuming, because when I was first reading this, I thought the Dark Friends managed to procure them, and then somehow there was some secret that allowed them to bust them open or something. I mean,
so there was a seal at the Eye of the World that was found broken.
Yeah,
there was 2 seals at the end of the Great Hunt. One was in possession of Baal Doman, which went to Turok. Turok had his own, but both were broken by the end of it. So 3 seals were broken.
So is this a read and find out? Like, did they break themselves, or did somebody break them because they were weak?
You can read, but you won't find out as to why they were broken at the time. But it could have simply have been kind of, all right, confluence of events, because they add an additional kind of significance to Rand's encounter with Ishamael Balsamon at Tyr at the end of the 3rd book.
Yeah.
Where they found a 4th seal and it wasn't broken. And that was the first one that wasn't. So now we've got 4 seals, 3 broken, 1 isn't.
I forget, did Moraine take possession of that one? I forget.
Yes, she did.
Is it accounted for right now?
Yeah.
Is it still in her possession, or did they bring it to the White Tower?
It might have been in the crate of things being sent to the White Tower, but I'd have to double check. But it's probably within her possession, similar to the one in Ruidian.
Yeah. Did they clear out, because I know there was the rooms full of the ter'angreal, including the twisted doorway. Did they clear all that out? They clear all that stuff out to take to the Dark Tower.
And there was a lot of junk in there, but that was the barges that was going to take the Black Aja, who ended up getting killed in the Stone of Tyr when the attack happened. It was all about, like, let's send some barges up to Tar Valon with items from the Great Holding, as well as 2 Dark Friends.
Yeah.
But the important thing, so at the end of the 3rd book, we've got 4 seals, 3 broken, 1 isn't. And of the 4th book, we've got a seal from Ruidian, and we've got a seal that Nynaeve and Elaine found at the Panarch's Palace. It was also not broken. And there remains a 7th seal that gets introduced later.
Yep.
So I like how he brings up. So here, so he's basically not listening to Moraine at all. And then, like, one thing that pisses him off is that Egwene's also on Moraine's side too, and that just really gets under his skin. And then she starts berating him because that's what Egwene does.
This is sort of where, like, a lot of people, like, really started to hate Egwene, I think, because she just, like, starts fucking just being so White Towers beyond.
She didn't start here. She was
I mean, yeah, I don't know, but this is sort of
this is where it became obvious to some readers.
Yeah. So this is what I thought was the most interesting part of this chapter right here. So so he's dealing with her, and then all of a sudden he's thinking, well, Ilyana never flashed her temper at me when she was angry with herself. When she gave me the rough side of her tongue, it was because she. And then he freezes, and Egwene is like, "What the hell's going on with him?" and everything. And then I think he snaps out of it. So I have a feeling that this is something that's gonna happen down the line. I don't know if it's gonna happen in this book, but apparently he's starting to remember. Have memories of Lews Therin. So either he becomes Lews Therin, or even more batshit crazy, he shares.
Well, wait. Crazy. What makes it? Matt has been remembering past lives and spouting off the old tongue this whole time too. Why is this any different?
He's crazy. That's why. Matt is crazy.
The clinical definition of insanity: you can be weird, but you're only, like, insane and diagnosable for most conditions if it starts actively affecting negatively your life.
Yeah. So okay. So then Rand's now.
I know this because I looked it up because Rhythm of War is trash.
I don't think I've seen Rhythm of War.
Brian, I'm casting doubt on this, but just keep in mind that a lot of readers, it's done intentionally, right? Matt remembers past lives. Like a lot of it is through the doorway, but he was spouting off the old tongue and remembering battle cries.
Yeah,
because of the reborn angle. So there's an element of that to it too. So what I know when I was reading this, I'm like, all right, Rand has got Matt syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's beginning to remember things from being Lewis Theron. But cool, what an advantage.
True. So yeah, so like I'm curious where this is going to lead. I think there's more manifestations of this. So I forget. I don't remember if it's in this read, but yeah. So she ends up leaving him. She's like, okay, you better go and rest and all that. Then I think he goes back and he notices the goblets flying away, and oh boy, and it leads right into the next chapter where he has freaking Jason Nittail up against the wall, and they have a nice little tense conversation. Very, very. This was one of the highlights of this read right here. This was probably this chapter and chapter 6 were the chapters I really, really enjoyed here. So, but yeah, so like one thing I forgot to take note is that nobody knows who Jason Nittail is. Nobody knows that he is actually Asmodean the Forsaken. Rand's trying to keep this a secret and all that. So I forget. I do have a question about all this. After all the stuff that happens after the Shao Rising, because I remember he is he's the Gleeman, and then you had what's her name? Lanfear was the ugly, fat peddler. So did she just did nobody account for why she was missing or something? Was it?
It's a big ass caravan.
Okay, there you go. All right, I was just curious.
You know what happens to Asandra too, right?
Yeah.
Later section, but
So actually, I think it's in the next chapter. We find out that she was framed for stealing jewelry or something, and that's punishable.
The maidens start punishing her, but she gets
and they strip and her punishment is she has to wear the jewelry and that's it. So she's completely naked. So she shows up in Rand's room with Aviendha there, nude and everything. So, and Avienda's like, "Who told you to come here?" and all that. I was just like, "Oh shit." And I feel bad for her because I don't think I like where her character is going to go and everything. So yeah.
At this point, it's honestly mostly comedic. It's just she can't stop hoeing, and so the maidens keep punishing her in harsher and harsher ways.
So that's So I'm just I'm just curious where this is going to go and Kadir and all that. But going back to Asmodean, the first thing I took note is that they talk about linking. So apparently men cannot link by themselves, and they say that's because of
power level,
evolution or something to kind of, or the parents trying to balance itself. Men are stronger and all that, and so women have the ability to link people.
The broad rules are, Brian, is that women can link independent of men. Men cannot link independent of women. A man and a woman can link, so it can be 1-to-1, and 2 men and 1 woman can link. But that's the only instance where men can outnumber women in a circle, which is what you call combined link. Beyond 5, it needs to be that women outnumber men. And you could get up to the point of, I think 72 is the maximum amount of individuals. But beyond 5, there always needs to be more women than men in a circle.
Yeah.
Brian, think about it like porn rules. Guy and girl, fine. Girl and girl, fine. Guy and guy, can't do it.
Nope.
And then
Absolutely
yes.
not.
2 girls, two guys, one girl.
Laws,
Yeah,
man.
and then things
That's a
get
scene with Alana from
yes,
like
and then,
earlier.
and then it becomes a ratio question after 3. So that's basically the linking rules of Wheel of Time are best remembered via porn.
It's not how God intended.
I never thought of it like that, but that's surprisingly apropos.
Fact check, true.
Guy was not God's will. Okay, just remember that the Creator does not dig that.
Yeah. So we talked about linking, and so Asmodean's supposed to be teaching. He's supposed to be teaching. There's the linking. I remember the 13. I remember in Egwene's trials in the Dragon Reborn, her last vision is, or her last trial is, like apparently there's 13 Aes Sedai, and then linked to like 13 Murdral or something. So 13's the limit, right? 13's the limit that they can do that. Yeah.
Okay, so it's 2 different rules. 13 is the limit that women can combine in one circle without needing a guy. 13 Dark Sisters and 13 Murdral can flip somebody from good to evil without their consent or knowing. So you're thinking of 2 different rules there.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Because it's also established later, Brian, that 13 male channelers channeling through 13 Murdral is actually easier for them to flip a woman because it's in reverse. So the turning, as it's called, it's like 13 independent weaves as opposed to linking, where 13 is a significant figure precisely because that's the maximum that our current day Aes Sedai can actually do, because they never involve men into their circles, because men who can channel are gentled on spot or after trial or whatever.
I see. All right, Whisker Fisherman for $1. Nothing said. Thanks.
I'm gonna assume that was appreciation for my porn joke.
I agree. Definitely.
Well, he does. I think he says he does comment. He does comment on the ad because I did turn on the ads for this. So.
Oh, boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah.
All right, Brent. Do you want to talk Balefire first, or do you want to talk Sagade Blossoms?
Who?
What?
What?
Huh?
Who's watching Blossom? I used to watch that show when I was a kid. No, I'm kidding.
I promised Brian at the start of this whole thing I was going to tell him something to be appreciated that like most people don't catch on a first or second or 10th read, but something that I've caught.
Sagade Blossoms. Okay. I'm not even sure what you're talking about.
So in this section, there's a part where Avienda confesses to lying to 2 people.
Okay.
It's in the early chapters. I think it's after we get the full-on explanation of Balefire, but I have a feeling that you want to talk about Balefire last.
Yeah.
But
I mean, is it the same chapter where Sindri shows up with naked and all that? Because it's basically a Rand Avienda chapter.
Yeah.
He's in the roof of the maidens, and yeah. Is it like
someone gives him a belt buckle, right? Is that in this chapter? Yeah.
I don't know. She's wearing the silver necklace, and Rand wants to know who gave it to her.
Yep.
And then she gets pissed off at him, or it's like, Avienda spent 10 days away from Rand, and
yep. And her spear points and her arrow points had to get melted down, and a blacksmith had to make something out of them, and she needed to give them as gifts. And so, like, 3 of them needed to be to people that she hated.
Yeah. So that part was kind of confusing. So I mean, so it's like I said, I love the Glass Calm stuff, but then the rest of this Aiel stuff is very confusing and very off-putting for me. So like the 12 things. And they're broken up into this and they're broken up into that, and then you have wife, sisters, sister of wives, brothers, fathers. I don't know. I don't remember. I kind of gave up on trying to remember that
exactly
stuff.
like Rand did.
Yeah,
because he's in the same boat as you, and believe me, that's intentional.
Yeah,
but,
and then of course you got the Aiel humor, making people, hey, I'm going to become your guy Shine, ha ha ha.
You haven't heard Aiel jokes, like you haven't seen nothing yet.
I'm just subjected to wetland humor. That's all I am. That's all I can say.
So the key thing to note is that two things. So Avienda is wearing two pieces of jewelry. She's got a snowflake necklace that Egwene gave her, and she's got a ivory bracelet that Rand gave her. And a lot of people outside of Rand and Avienda, i.e. the maidens, view that ivory bracelet as a regard gift. Which, if you read into the whole Aiel courtship thing, is if a guy's trying to attract a chick's attention, she gives him a present and then she starts to wear it. But if they want to get married, well, that's up to the woman to make a bridal wreath. But the first step is usually a regard gift. Rand gave her something without knowing any of this.
Yeah.
So Avienda is more concerned, well, what do all of my spear sisters think? Do they think that the Kara Karn, the chief of chiefs, is giving me a regard gift? Oh God, is he going to embarrass me in my honor and whatnot? And that plays a little, plays a little bit later. But there's a telling scene here where Avienda requests to be beaten by the wise ones because she lied twice. So she needs to meet her her obligation.
Oh, is this the whole who did she lie to thing?
Yes, she told two lies. Now, the first one is relatively easy to understand if you've read the whole book. She lied to Rand when she claimed that she hated him above all others, and that's why she got the belt buckle made for him. Because she needed to make things or get a blacksmith to make something out of her iron and then give gifts to people that she hated. She didn't hate Rand. She never did. She actually loved him. So that was one of the lies.
Because of what she finds out in the rings.
Yeah, she realizes that she can't fight against it later. But at the time that she first got it, she realized that she would fall in love with him. She was very resistant to it, but it wasn't out of hate or anything like that. It was just she was more angry at fate than him, if that's an easy explanation.
And so he is one of the. So she says he's one of the men she hates, but that's the lie. That's
exactly
okay.
And then she asks the wise ones to meet the toe, but the difficult one and the one that most readers don't get until their 10th reread through this, if ever. And I didn't catch. Just to be clear, I only got this because it was posted on a Reddit or whatnot where someone explained it. But the second lie is what she tells Egwene and gives Egwene a bundle of Sagade blossoms. It's never spelled out very clear, but what Rand is doing is picking flowers for Avienda. And then the maidens love this thing, being like, oh, well, and the fun part is the dynamic that you find out later, is that Rand is picking flowers, and what men in Aiel society would do if they really want a girl to marry is they will pick the flowers for the bridal wreath to be given back to them. And they'll pick flowers that represent her kind of demeanor. So Rand is just out there being kind of aloof and whatnot. Oh, chicks love flowers. All right, let me get some flowers. Here's some of these kind of prickly Sagade blossoms. And then the maidens just freaking love this because they already think that Avienda's gotten the regard gift. So they run those flower blossoms to her, thinking that Avienda is going to make a bridal wreath to give to Rand.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, all this is doing is just increasing Avienda's embarrassment as to all of this. And
Mhm.
Brian is totally enjoying this.
Yeah.
Finish up, man. You're 85% done.
Epic fantasy. This is very epic fantasy right here.
She gives all the blossoms to Egwene and says, "Oh no, I that's nothing. Here, you can have them." And that was the second line.
Yeah, I think are we done with this? Yeah, we're done with this.
Oh,
There
you
go.
suck.
Dane, I always enjoy this because it's a level of deep dive into it that I never get to.
I love this stuff.
Oh, it's
All
great.
right, all
It's
I'm saying is,
it's the rereadability of the series, absolutely. But I think Brian wants to talk Balefire.
No, I want to get there's the whole Wise Ones chapter. So apparently, yeah, I'm gonna get this. I want to get this one out of the way too.
Wise
you don't like my talk about flowers?
Among the Wise Ones, chapter 5.
No, you just I'm totally lost, and yeah, my interest is.
Ah,
yeah.
Agave blossoms.
Mm-hmm.
She lied.
Mm-hmm.
She's a liar.
Let's see. So apparently, so they're back in the sweat tent. So we get more.
They
We get.
belong.
Yeah.
All the
got
chicks
it.
are naked. This is the part
They're all
where Brian-
naked. Yeah. Yeah, of course. get the nice little sweat tent going, and they're talking about Rand, and trying to remember if there was anything. I forget. I think Moraine. I think Moraine and the Wise Ones have like a little. They have
They're
like a
getting good and
little.
sweaty.
They're getting good and sweaty, and they're having like a little standoff right there. And I think they just simply dismiss Moraine, and Moraine's like. I think it's this chapter, right, where they just dismiss her, and she's like, "I'm going to leave." I think it's this chapter, right? I think.
She does go. She's the first one to leave the sweat tent. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, like they're talking about the last. I think they're trying to, like they're talking about like the future. Moraine wants like Rand to unite the nations, if I remember correctly, for Tarmangaden, and. She's just like, don't go, or something. Don't go.
Moraine is still worried that if the Aiel cross the dragon wall behind Rand,
It destroys all their plans. Puts a wrench in the plans.
It'll be exactly like the Aiel War that happened 20 years earlier, where all the nations united against the Aiel.
What's up, Salty? I'll read this. Remember, gently lick the rose, but firmly and forcefully plant the tulip.
That's a sex reference.
So
about flower.
So apparently,
come on, that was such a touching moment. Sagari blossoms.
So apparently, the Tinkers. So apparently, more Tinkers are entering, and Aiel are basically joining them as a result of the bleakness, if I remember correctly, right?
So. The bleakness strikes a lot of the Aiel in different ways.
Yeah.
Some of them can't accept Rand, and they'll go to Couladin and reside amongst their societies. Some of them kind of run off and don't know what to do, and others are like, well, shit, if we used to follow the way of the leaf, how do I learn how to do that? So they run to the Tinkers.
Question. So do the Aiel act individually with this bleakness, or do they act like a sept or what's below a sept?
So
clan,
there's a clan and there's a sept. Clan, sept, hold, but then there's also society. Yeah, there's also a society.
So is this a read and find out like who like how is this effect on the individual level, or is this still a collective? Is this still a collective thing?
Individual.
It's mostly individual, and then it translates in different ways. But the most common way is that if someone is part of a hold or a sept or a clan that follows Rand, but can't abide what's been revealed, they might go join the Shaido via society, but that's if they're a warrior. Then again, not all Aiel are warriors. Not all of them belong to a warrior society. Most of them do.
Yeah.
But some of them are outside of that. So maybe they just stay home, or maybe they run off to find the Tinkers, or maybe they say, why are we even living in this fucking desert? And they just like wander off.
I see. So,
just like a massive depression, dude. Like I wouldn't get the bleakness. Like I wouldn't get too hung up on the bleakness. It's just like they can't. It's like just realizing even.
It's more interesting than the marriage, the ideal marriage proposals and.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's not interesting. I'm just saying it's not really.
That's a dig at me.
It's not really complicated, right? It's just like think about like just your whole life being a lie. And you finding that out suddenly, right? It's
imagine if the Pope came out and said,
Christianity
Jesus was fake. You know, you'd have people that would still adhere to it. You'd have people that would leave it. You'd have people that would pick up other religions.
People that want to kill the Pope and go, "This guy's a fucking liar. He's not the real Pope," right?
No, of course, whatever.
Don't have to put you on the spot there, Brian.
Some of us are already there.
Oh boy. Remember, the opinions of the individual don't necessarily represent the opinions of the Nerporial Continuum. All right, there you go. All right, disclaimer. All right, but yeah, I think that's. I don't think there's really much else. So they talk about like apparently Mullane wants to get married and stuff, and they approach. How do
you think you learn all the stuff about bridal wreaths that's so important in like elucidating my Sagade Blossom explanation? I can't believe you didn't read really deep into that.
Yep, this is there's a lot of women talking in this chapter.
Yeah, so sister wives, and all the great stuff. All the great stuff I love about this.
The only way Brian is getting through this book is when he's like, this is a page of women talking. He just like skips most of it.
Brian, if you go on the wiki, you can see who is the POV character for each chapter.
I know. I all I gotta do is look at the first page, and the first name that comes up is usually the point of view. So it's not too tough.
Or a woman talking, he puts the speed to triple and just like burns through
it. We're done. Yeah, we're done with this. So there's one thing I do want to bring up really quickly. So they do talk about the Forsaken, and Rand does not know, or Asmodean doesn't know anything. But then there's the whole Matt stuff. So Matt meets Melindra. Matt meets Melindra, and she's like, what, 10 years his senior or something. So Matt likes the older women after all.
30. Well, she's like 30. So
yeah, and she's like, "You're short, bro. You're short." He's like, "I'm not short. Fuck you.
You're a giant." Yeah. So Matt did the classic college boy thing, where he walked into the townie bar and got the attention of the 30-year-old biker MILF, and started getting with her. So if you can just picture Melandre as like Katie Sackhoff, or not Katie Sackhoff, who is Gemma Teller in Sons of Anarchy?
Oh God, I can't remember her fucking name. Al Bundy's wife, Peggy.
Katie Sagal. Katie Sagal.
Sackhoff. Yep. Yeah, so that's the ideal.
The reason I didn't get that is when you said Katie Sackhoff, I thought you meant Katie Sagal.
There you go. But yeah, so that's the ideal equivalent of who Matt started hitting on.
He's talking about the girl from fucking Married with Children. Yeah.
Yep.
But no, he actually said the name of Starbuck from
Starbucks,
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great show.
Phenomenal.
You know what,
show.
Alex? You and I, we were on such a same wavelength that we both got our names mixed up subconsciously.
Yeah. You auto-corrected me.
I went to Starbucks. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I'm Alex's AI.
Let's,
scary.
That doesn't hold for all chapters. Look for double space paragraphs. My whole life, I have been lied to. My mom smokes dope more than I do.
Whisker, you could join the Tinkers.
Oh boy,
potentially.
But I don't think there's really much else to talk about besides
Balefire,
Melindra, and yeah, I think that's it. Oh, he asks her about the daughter of the Nine Moves. Now, he has an interesting encounter with Rand. He's like, I want to go. He's like, I want to go, and Rand's like, I'm not forcing you to do anything. Then go.
Yeah,
and
it's literally the conversation in like second grade when the kid says, "Can I go to the bathroom?" and the teacher says, "I don't know. Can you?" Matt's like, "Can I go? Can I go now?" And Rand's just like, "I don't know. Will the pattern let you?" Like,
yeah, that's true. And but the thing Rand does tell him is not to trust Kadir. That not. And she's like, "I don't trust anybody," and blah blah blah. And that's how their conversation ends. And then he asks Melindra if she is if the daughter of the Nine Moons means anything to her. I think that was with the Snake people that he got that. That little thing. It wasn't the Fox people, it was the Snake people. Not that, I guess. So yeah, but I unfortunately I know who the daughter of the Nine. I think I know who the daughter of the Nine Moons are. I think it's Sean Chan related. I don't even know how I found that out.
So don't worry, it's not Brian. It wouldn't be a spoiler because the Court of the Nine Moons was something mentioned by Turok in the second book.
Yeah. It's true.
So it's only a spoiler for like unattentive readers, and I'm not calling you one way or the other, but it's like it was dropped. A modern reader reading Daughter of the Nine Moons would Control F everything that they've previously read for Nine Moons, and they would be like, "Oh, that's where it came up." And a couple chapters later, I'm pretty sure the Nine Moons is mentioned in the Leandrin chapters, or I know it's mentioned soon after this.
Yeah,
there's a Court of the Nine Moons.
But yeah, this chapter, the Balefire, awesome chapter. Like this was, I mean, like we got to really learn what the Darkhounds are capable of, because I think we first see them in the Dragon Reborn, but I don't think we learn what they're capable of. We just know that they get fried out of existence.
And very powerful, very calm and collected people piss their pants when they hear about Darkhounds.
Darkhounds are bad motherfuckers.
Like, do we get to really see them be bad motherfuckers?
Yeah.
Besides Matt's case. Oh, okay. Because so apparently a single drop of their saliva can kill. Basically, is that what it is, or is it a bite?
So that's a big
bite
deal.
would be fatal. Saliva could kill, but it's more what we've seen before. Rand encounters one, and Moraine encounters a pack, but in both instances, Balefire is what kills them. Now, it just happens to be happenstance in Rand's case in the Dragon Reborn. Moraine knows what she's doing.
So if I remember correct, so the three Darkhounds show up here, and I remember I think Rand basically uses his sword techniques to basically dispatch them, but then they come back, like he cuts them up and then they reform, kind of like
like the
T-1000.
Yep.
Okay. So is Balefire the only thing that can kill him, or is there something else there?
Okay. Yeah, so at the Perrin puts 18 arrows into one, it slows it down pretty good in the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah.
I think Balefire or channeling is pretty much the only way to kill him.
I think it is Balefire exclusively. I think.
Yeah. So Rand kills a Darkhound in the Dragon Reborn with Balefire. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
But it's described like the bar of white hot light, and then it hits the thing, and it colors reverse and dissipates into motes and flecks on the wind. Moraine knows what she's doing, and she calls what she does Balefire, but gives no further explanation as to what Balefire is than saying it's something I can be stilled just for knowing.
Yeah.
But it's only here then 2 books later where you get the explanation of what Balefire is, which wonderfully weaves in all the mechanics that we've learned so far about life threads and the pattern and how it all works. And what Balefire does is burn you back in time. And the reason precisely why it's so dangerous is because it can unmake reality.
Yeah. So the more powerful the more powerful the channel, the further in time the reality is affected. Otherwise,
Yeah.
so like you can
further
remove
back into it. If someone took Kalendor, so the ultimate Saw Angreal ultimate power booster, and use that to burn someone back in time, you could burn them back a week, you can burn them back a month, and just think of the repercussions of what would happen if you pulled just a single life and made it such that that life ended a month ago, and all the interactions that person had never happened throughout all of it.
And I heard that, like, because I think they say it in this chapter, like cities were becoming unmade because of that, and even the Forsaken themselves feared to use feared to use Balefire. Like, it's just that destructive.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
What can they, if they unmake the universe, what could they rule over?
Exactly.
And that's why they stopped.
I wonder if it would affect like the Dark One and the Creator.
Everything.
Interesting. So it does. Is there like is there a history where this Balefire ability came from, or is it one of those mysteries of Wheel of Time that Robert Jordan never really explains?
Most of it's explained kind of in this preamble that Moraine gives. So the Balefire was used in the War of Power, or the War of Shadow, which was the war that was fought in the Age of Legends. But it's said that at a certain point, when both sides realized the ramifications of using it, both sides just stopped using it.
I don't think there was ever like
an Oppenheimer type of person that probably developed
I don't think there was ever a blatant
discovered the ability.
Hey, Bob, the Balefire guy discovered Balefire, and Balefire was out of existence, so nobody knew how to do Balefire. No, I don't think Bob the Balefire guy.
Bob the Balefire guy.
Dude, wouldn't that be awesome?
I want Bob the Balefire guy now.
Dude, here you go. Bob the Balefire guy discovered Balefire. He Balefired himself, and everybody forgot.
I thought everybody remembers. That's the thing.
Well, they couldn't remember because he never existed. He Balefired himself.
Isn't that the story of the warp drive in The Expanse? That the guy figured it out, fired it.
Here you go. No, here you go. This is better. This is better. They sent Bob the Balefire guy to get donuts. He discovered Balefire, Balefired himself, and then everybody couldn't remember why there were no donuts.
I like it. My headcanon
awesome.
was always that it was Betamon who needed to use it to drill the bore.
No. There's nothing that indicates Balefire was involved in that. It's more the most interesting part about Balefire is it's like the one weave that involves time.
Yeah.
More than any other. And it's noted later on, Brian, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but the Dark One notes that even he cannot step outside of time. Yeah. And that's part of why the Dark One wants to destroy the Wheel of Time and is against it. It's like time for him is a constraint on what he can do. But Balefire is got a level of permanence to it that other things don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's why it becomes a favorite of Rand in certain situations.
So when he reads
the prologue of book 6, after that we'll get him to read the prologue of book 1, and things will make sense. But yeah,
okay,
can't step out of time.
All right,
excuse me,
makes sense. So Rand uses the Balefire, dispatches them. Moraine basically explains the whole thing, like we said. And then he runs to they go after Matt. There's Darkhounds that go after Matt too. And if I remember correctly, they get through the door, the bronze door, and they slobber on Matt, just as Rand is Balefiring them. Yep. And so because of that, the everything gets undone, right? Like Matt is no longer like in danger yet. I guess. Well, I mean, immediately.
Not to the point. So what Matt says is, I could have sworn they had broken through the door, but the door wasn't broken through, only a little bit.
Yeah.
And that it slobbered all over his arm, but he's only got an itch. And
Yeah.
because it's been reduced to the point where he only has a little bit of exposure, Moraine is actually able to heal him.
Yeah.
And this is what Rand clues in. Is like, so how is this a bad thing? If it wasn't for me turning back time, essentially, Matt would be dead.
Yeah.
In the business, we call this foreshadowing.
Yes. In the biz, Bob would say, "Be careful with balefire." Could one balefire oneself? That is a question.
You need a German Shepherd. That is the answer.
If you shot a mirror, would it bounce and hit you back?
You could shoot yourself in
literally,
the foot.
Steve. Like this was a Q&A that Robert Jordan answered.
Oh, well,
What if
I
someone-
forgot about
yeah.
that.
What if someone shot balefire through a gateway that went back and hit themselves? What would happen?
Mhm.
And his answer was, "You need to get a dog,
Good answer. I like it.
or get a German Shepherd."
Okay.
Although-
Why didn't he just say "fuck you"? Like that would have been better.
No, because
Or
he's
Bob.
not-
Polite
was
Southern
proud.
gentleman.
When Brian has read through the 7th book and we talk about crossing streams, I can explain to you the metaphysical reconciliation that happens when two streams of balefire hit each other.
Dude, should I make a shirt, Brian, called Bob the Balefire Guy?
You should.
I think you should. Just because
And he's got a bale, and he's got a balefire himself. So
it's
yeah.
like Bob the Builder, but with balefire streams.
If you
Through a
make
gateway
that,
or off a mirror, it's like
if you make that in polos, I will wear it to work. And like people will ask me, "What is that?"
Bob
My
the
response-
Balefire Guy. All right.
My response is going
You'll
to
just
be,
take him to the gun range and people will love you.
Write this down.
"It's true."
I want to order a Bob the Balefire mug
Okay, I'm on this.
Why?
because Bob the Balefire guy needs love too. Needs to be
not?
remembered. You know.
All right. I gotta get on an emoji too, I guess.
Yep,
I don't know how that
definitely.
emoji would work out though. That would be a pretty detailed emoji. I gotta have members again to have emojis though. Everybody's leaving me. No, that's my own fault. I gotta make some content. Sorry.
So I forget. Like I'm curious. I'm guessing this is a read and find out. Like, what are the implications of? I'm guessing Moraine's attack on Bilal and the Dragon Reborn. I'm wondering if there's any ramifications for that.
Yes.
So what you got to understand? Well,
Because obviously
Well, it's not a-
her channeling is not as powerful as Rand,
yeah.
so
So she
doesn't
doesn't
go.
have the
It's not-
juice
it's
to
not a
send things back
ramification.
very far.
So if she only burns Bilal out of existence like 5 seconds,
Yeah.
that's 5 seconds. So it didn't necessarily impact too much. But as you'll find out, the Dark One cannot step outside of time. So he's
Mhm.
gone. Bilal's been
The
burned
Dark
out.
One can't grab the Forsaken as they die and reincarnate them. He's just dead.
Well,
Is he having?
that's what I'm
are we
trying to
getting a little
avoid here,
ahead?
Alex.
Okay, so
Oh, okay.
spoilers. But
So I got a question. So the pattern can unravel if enough lives were destroyed. They remove their actions far enough. So basically, like you said, unmaking reality. So, I'm trying to fathom.
okay, just
Think of it as a
about-
piece of
so-
fabric. If you
so-
yank a thread out of a piece of fabric, the entire thing can unravel if you yank enough of them out.
Yeah.
It's just think about
or
it. Like,
better
if you
yet,
have
it's
incredibly strong-
burn one back, and if it's a very important thread and you burn it back far enough,
Well-
then how the pattern reorganizes and
Well,
gets
think about-
stable
right.
can
So-
look materially different.
Right. Well, and also think about this too, right? Okay, so you have just for the instance, I get why it can get a little confusing, but think about okay, you have Rand level challengers or just below, just flinging balefire about like it's nothing, right? So
Right.
you hit freaking an Ogier that helped build Camelin, built the foundations of Camelin. All of a sudden he's gone, and oops, what happened? There's no foundation in Camelin. Camelin topples over, killing all these people. Then you have freaking another guy, Balefire, I don't know, Donnie Jim, the fucking I don't know, Aes Sedai teacher of whatever. All of a sudden everybody that she taught how to channel don't remember how to channel, right? And then it just sort of trickles away like that. You start plucking all these things out if you're just throwing around loosey goosey, and then then it affects other things, right? So it's like, and it's just like Dane said, how it reorganizes. It's like, well, what if that guy's like, what if the pattern's trying to fix itself and the guy that is supposed to reorganize is also gone? It's like, fuck, what do you do now, right? And so and then it just explodes, or right? I mean, it's just it's like 10 degrees of separation, right? You balefire the right 10 people, then all of a sudden,
it depends how far back, but
you know what I mean,
in most instances, like you can't balefire back too far. Like
Well,
you can't balefire someone out like their entire life.
Well,
Like, it would take a heck of a lot of power just to like wipe someone out for an entire day.
Yeah,
As
but
opposed
you
to
can. I mean, but there's. You
That-
get what I'm
that's
saying.
the-
That was just those were a little bit boisterous, but you get what I'm saying. I'll be right back.
But even that is, you take any one individual person and you erase their existence from an entire day.
Yeah.
And you just think of what if I got erased from today, my day, and how many people would have been affected? How many people did I encounter today and would have set their path on something different? And how would that all play out?
Do we ever find? Do we ever find out like how far back balefire damage? Like I'm assuming Rand's the most powerful channeler. So
the key thing to note, Brian, is that a lot of channelers have got access to Angriel and Saw Angriel that can drastically augment their ability. And then you've got linking as well.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to think about what a full circle of 72 Aes Sedai, men and women, with Angriel and Saw Angriel to augment it, what they would be able to balefire.
I love this. Brian wouldn't understand Aiel courting if Dane were balefire. Who would bail? So Bob the balefire guy would balefire Dane by accident.
No,
it could happen.
If I were balefired by a full circle, bringing me back to a year ago, then you would not have any clue how the Aiel courting mechanics worked.
Nope. Yep. None whatsoever.
And you know what the sad thing is? There would be no perturbation in the pattern whatsoever. You'd be just smooth sailing. Didn't know then, don't know now. Perfect.
The ideal balefire.
Me.
I'm just trying to think. What else happened in this section? I feel like we're pretty good. Also, I want to do a shout out to John Sowell, who is several minutes behind us, but keeps commenting like he isn't. It's an ideal stream guest right there. It's dedication. I love it.
No, he's probably only on 1.5 speed. Doesn't want to catch up, but I sound sober.
I mean, the Lanfear appears in this chapters. So she's basically saying, "Hey, you know who sent the Darkhounds? Ravine has sent the Darkhounds, and he's in Camelin, and Morghese is his puppet." So she's basically telling Rand who the bad guy is in this book. So
yeah, that's
or maybe she's the bad guy in this book. I don't know. Maybe they're both the bad guy.
Okay, so you know how I said earlier that the Forsaken are all people that like annoyed Robert Jordan, or that he found like particularly like loathsome?
Yeah.
Lanfear is like the 10 of 10 girl who's never been rejected, and it happened once and she went crazy. And a staple of this archetype of woman is she likes to see men fight, especially over her. So she's doing this thing where she's like, "Hey Rand, that other super powerful, good-looking guy over there, yeah, you should go fight him. Yeah, you should go fight him."
Oh my god. Oh, okay. Oh, I hope something. We're book 5 now. I hope something happens. I hope something happens to Lanfear in this. I hope something happens.
You'll be happy.
You will be happy.
I'll be happy. Okay. All right. Don't tell me what happens.
No, I'm not going to. What I'll point out is that if we're wrapping up, I appreciate that not a whole lot of readers like the Elaine and Nynaeve chapters, but I like how the things in here kind of happen in sequence, right? So they ran away from Tanchico. They had to learn in kind of steps that they can't go back to the White Tower, which they learned through Teleran Riyadh, but it's only after they were drugged. They learn the value of warders. They go off on a different way, and I guess this is for the next stream. But the things that they have to learn, I actually reading through this because I am reading Fires of Heaven again for this.
Oh, thank you.
I like that a lot of the stuff happens in the proper order, but it's done logically. And it gets them kind of where they need to be. So I can feel kind of the Robert Jordan crafting his master pattern and setting them off on the right way. And I can get that it's slow, but I can enjoy it at the same time. And that's my advice when you go through this. Enjoy Nynaeve being the worst fucking bitch you've ever read about. She's supposed to be. You're supposed to enjoy just how crazy don't get frustrated when these characters frustrate you. You have to laugh at it because it's being done on purpose. And whatever you think about Nynaeve now, like Elaine, so much worse for later books. You have to appreciate it as it's going through. Avienda, same thing. What she's doing, have to appreciate it. Egwene, they're tough to read through. But
yeah, I mean, it's easier to read. It's what's funny is it's easier to read through them and get all the context than listening. Like listening to it was just a nightmare.
Yeah,
like listening to the audiobook. Nothing against Kate Redding. I mean, I think she's great. But I can't stand listening to those chapters as opposed to reading those chapters. So Steve, before hold that thought, Dane. Steve, do you have to get going now?
I got like 5 minutes.
Okay. Anything you want to plug, promote? Any final thoughts on this portion?
Oh well, yeah. Sorry I was late. But yeah.
I demand a free Bob the Balefire guy.
I gotta get on that. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with that. But yeah, so it's always nice when those little nuggets of goodness pop out of these things. But
yes,
I'm gonna try and get back. I've been on a little bit. I've been sick again, but hopefully, this week I'm gonna try and ramp up some of the content. I think Wednesday, me and Nathan got an autopsy thing going on again, and then Thursday, Last Airbender comes out, so
yep, you gotta have it.
I'm gonna be going after that hard. I'm gonna try and do a video.
I'm almost done with book one of the animated show, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's one of those things I've had actually quite a bit that I want to talk about with that, but just time and health and all that stuff haven't allowed it. So I'm very curious how that's gonna be. There's a lot of more red flags have popped up about that.
It's gonna be bad.
It's sure seeming that way. Unfortunately, I was trying to be an optimist about it, and it's looking like I should know better. But so gonna be covering that. Not sure how yet, but I know Brian and you've been watching it, so I'm very curious to your takes on it and all that. So hopefully, we get to talk about that and stuff this week. I don't know. Just we're gonna try and do some morning stuff. I've been playing that deep whatever Galactic Survivor game. Me and Easton have been going at that game hard. This Vampire Survivors thing is fun as fuck. But some more stuff. Just hopefully more stuff coming. Where there has been none stuff. So more Wheel of Time stuff, of course. I still have my little interview about the my interview for those lines. The audition tapes for Samael. I have my.
Are you going to act those out?
I've already done an interview with the front runner for the lead role for the role of Samael. I have an exclusive interview that I have not been able to put together yet. So it's already recorded and ready to go. I just haven't had time. So yes,
I have an exclusive with the rumored actor for Samael. Stay tuned. Hopefully, I can actually put it together here at some point. But so more stuff. Hopefully. No.
Okay.
Trust me, it's
Trust
worth the
me,
wait.
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good. I have props and everything. It's gonna be good. No, I don't have props. It's a real person. It's a real person.
Fucking sock puppet. Oh, I can't.
Just wait. Don't worry about
Ryan,
it.
just so you know, I've completely forgotten what point I was going to make. So don't go back to me.
I did it. You're welcome, Brian. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Dane. I'm kidding. So yeah, just more stuff, and I deserve that. It's okay. I'll take it. Apparently, I guess we're doing a Choporio soon, aren't we? You wanted to, right?
We'll have to schedule. Well, we'll figure out a day for that. So
cool.
So yeah. But yeah, man, Steve, thanks for coming by. Thanks for joining. And yeah, tardiness. I demand a Bob the Balefire guy.
I will actually start brainstorming how to get Bob the Balefire guy made tonight at work.
Bob the Balefire guy for life.
Balefire the Bob guy. No, I gotta figure out. No, I'll figure
take
out
a Bob the Builder and like have his hands wide.
But do we have the mirror? Do we have the gate? Do we have a German Shepherd sitting there?
It.
Do we
All
just
you
have
need
him
is
like Balefire coming out of every orifice, including his penis? Like, what do we do? I don't know.
I don't think Balefire works that way.
Why not? Bob invented it. He can do whatever he wants. It's forgotten lore because he Balefired himself. Come on, Dane. We're creating new lore here.
People don't kiss and shit Balefire. They like blow it out of their
Bob
hand.
did, but that's why he disappeared.
Yeah,
It ricocheted off the toilet.
Everybody knows that Dragon Ball Z stole Goku and Gohan's Kamehameha from Wheel of Time.
Oh, I got an idea. Maybe
That's
it's
pretty
Balefire
smart,
coming out of his butt and it's launching him up in the air, and he's just like, Karakar! Why not?
Dane is not amused.
He's not, but I am
Not
Dane's
how it-
kryptonite. It's okay. It's okay.
Not how it would work.
All right.
See,
so,
I know
okay,
what
are
you're
you
gonna
okay if
say.
it ricocheting off a tree and hitting him in the butt and then coming
No,
out of his
because-
eyes?
How can a weave? How can a weave that burns shit back in time ricochet?
Because he's fluid.
Because it's
a
a
big
cartoon. This is a cartoon. This is-
What happens if you Balefire water? Does all the water disappear?
Yes.
Yeah, it breaks the law of
Like if Rand
conservation of mass
Balefired
and
a
matter.
river, would the whole river and the ocean?
Well, like why
applying
don't you go
go away?
read that scene in the Crown of Swords that kind of touches on this?
Is there
Oh
one?
boy.
Because
There's
yeah,
also
'cause
one
it-
that's similar in Dragon
shit.
Reborn, isn't there? Isn't there a Nynaeve Black Eye?
Nynaeve. No, Nynaeve Balefire some Murdral, but no one knows what's going on there. But that's what happens when she basically.
Oh, that
when
was
they get
that was
kidnapped.
Oh, yeah.
that's
that was,
that's
that was
wait.
Balefire?
We're
That was
talking
Balefire?
about the thing.
I guess that
That's
was
not
Balefire.
Balefire in ocean and it disappeared. What are we talking about? That's
So
completely different.
Steve, what we're talking about is in book 7 for Brian, and it involves Moghedian.
Yes, I got you.
Yeah. What Alex is talking about involves Nynaeve and her channeling ability after they get kidnapped before the Aiel come and rescue them, or kind of during when they break out after they've got knocked in the head or whatnot. She kills the Murdral with Balefire.
I'm not seeing the connection to an ocean disappearing though.
Weren't they on a boat?
No, the ocean disappearing is purely.
Didn't the boat explode and they end up in the water? Or am I misremembering that?
Yeah, and they were underwater because they would have sunk several feet back. But whatever
Right.
happens to the water, like it would have filled back in. But
Okay, so
That's
that okay.
beside
So that's
the point.
what you're alluding to.
Balefire touches water, and
Just
no
a
one
chunk of
went
water
rocketing
disappears.
up. Yeah, no
Okay.
one went rocketing up to the moon because that's not how.
Dude, that would be
Balefire-
awesome though, wouldn't it? Like it's just like launches them to the. What if you Balefired the moon, Dane?
You just drill
Maybe
a
that's
hole.
the picture. Maybe that's it. Bob the Balefire guy yelling at the moon and shooting a giant.
Would not be
thing of
good
Balefire.
because it could affect orbital dynamics and send you hurtling into the sun.
What if it
I think you
ricocheted
just
back?
get a big wave or a little wave. But anywho,
Brian,
Brian,
can you end the
Brian
stream
is
with these
looking
idiots?
bored.
Sorry. Bob the Balefire guy. It's happening.
Just have him blow balefire out like from his hands. Don't give
Every
him an anus
hand. It's gotta
balefire.
be every fingertip.
He only has 2.
He's gonna be like Palpatine and freaking I have all the balefires.
And I'm all the
Unlimited power. Oh,
I mean minutes.
Preachers
All right.
don't count.
All right.
See you guys. Love you guys. Have fun.
Yeah,
Sorry,
take
I know
care.
I'm crazy. But yeah, we'll talk soon. Bye,
See you, Steve.
guys.
See you, Steve.
All right.
Fucking guy.
Finally. So, all right. So the only thing that's left is pretty much we find out that Couladin is moving. So he's moving the Shido to the Jankai Pass. So they're trying to get into the I forget what they call it, the wetlands. They call it the wetlands. So then Rand's like, okay, we have to move like now. We have to try to intercept them, and I think they're several days ahead. So I think the only chapter that's left is an Egwene and Moraine point of view. So basically, yeah,
Women talking.
Moraine actually has an interesting conversation with Lan. Lan finally, it's nice to see Lan talking and doing stuff. So I felt like Lan was barely in the last book. There was only like one scene, one or two scenes that he was in that was notable. The shaving one, the joke about the shaving in the last one, and then there was he's still training with Rand, the sword.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up too much for Lan.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm come to expect.
Yeah,
he's turning into a background character.
Yeah, and
I mean, he has an important arc. I'm curious how Malkier gets restored, because I'm assuming restored.
That kind of stuff gets better, but like until like book 11, don't get your hopes up for Lan.
Yep.
It's a long time, but it's kind of like
he's
you'll get it by the end of this.
Throughout the next 4 or 5 books.
Oh, I see.
Then in 11 and then the Sanderson books, he starts to get more and more involved.
Mm-hmm.
Although Alanir is correct, there is a good scene, but it's more Matt driven towards the end of this book, and no spoilers, but Matt starts to manifest what he got out of the Gateway in Ruidian, because he asked for 3 things, right?
Yeah.
Brian?
Mm-hmm.
He asked for to be free of Aes Sedai, which, spoiler, that's his fox head. And that was established pretty well in
the medallion.
In these chapters. The medallion, because when Moraine tried to heal him, it wouldn't work.
So they had to take off the medallion.
He noted it got cool, so it's like, well, if it's cold, take it off. And
she tried to take it from him, and Rand's like, no, you cannot take it, or something.
Yeah, it's
like
his.
that.
Whatever it is, it's his. And then Moraine said it's a Terangrial, so it belongs to the tower.
Didn't he threaten like there'd be consequences if she did or something? Because I know he's in the last book he was willing to hang people if they disobeyed him.
Well, it was just if she promised to obey him, if that's her kind of new MO, then
and she made that, and because of her oath she cannot. Well, I don't know. She can't disobey. Well, she can try to.
The second thing that Matt wanted was his the gaps or the holes in his memories filled, and they said done. And then the last thing is he wants to be away from them and out of here, and that was done. And he was obviously sent back, but without terms, so he was hanged for it. But the gaps in his memory, that's what you've been getting from Matt, is basically he's been remembering things that aren't his own memories.
Yeah, we got the interesting chapter in the when they're attacked. So he recalls a mission where they pretended to be, you know, he misremembered something, if I remember correctly, or no, he remembered they were singing how that this one commander was, you know, was impressed of the courage of this group that were fighting, you know, at all odds, and you know, because you know history is written by the victors, you know, that's kind of what happened. But then Matt remembers that was not the case. Like they all that brave crew got killed.
Yeah.
And I thought that was I thought that was great. I thought that was one of the more interesting parts of
Jack of the Shadows.
Yeah.
So he starts remembering songs that people used to sing, and people are noting like it's not a good thing to sing about Jack of the Shadows or death. But that the chapter that Ma'alanir is referencing comes a little bit later, but it's when it comes full circle. And it's a very good chapter, and it basically highlights exactly what has Matt learned because of the gateway. What has he gotten that is what he asked for? And there's it's really, really good for his character, and you'll enjoy it. And it gets built upon almost immediately, and by book 6, you're not even going to recognize Matt anymore because it's pretty wonderful. So all I'm saying is, if you don't like the Nynaeve chapters, you got the Matt chapters to look forward to.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm liking the Rand stuff. I thought the Jane Kai Pass chapter, I listened to it, was great. I want to read it. Maybe I'm sure there's a lot of things I missed because, you know, I take things in better when I read it versus, you know, listening to the audiobook. So, but yeah, I mean, I can't wait to get past chapters 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So, hey, but yeah, I don't think there's anything else left. So, any final thoughts? Any final, you know, things you want to say, Dane?
Sagade blossoms. She has a prickly nature, and you're gonna kill yourself right now. I see it like two. No, I'm kidding. It's a small thing, but it's a fun thing about it. And because it wasn't explained or whatnot, it's how he writes, and he gets people to come back and reread. Like, well, what the heck was that? And there's a sense of accomplishment for some people to kind of puzzle this out. But I always liked it because it's like, he doesn't have to beat you over the head with it. As far as what's the point I'm trying to make, he's being very circumspect and giving the reader the information from multiple sides in order to try and make the connections, in order just to elucidate one small thing. Why did Aviendha lie twice? But that's what I like from this section.
I mean, it's not my favorite. I'll say that so far.
It's nobody's, but the thing is, to get through it, you have to appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of, it's
characters.
Yeah,
they learn. I mean, there's a point to each. I mean, I want to think there's a point to every chapter. There's something that the characters are learning or changing. And something Jonathan R. mentions in my Chilporial Technically Mexican, because me and him were kind of debating about, you know, like we're talking about my take on the Shadow Rising, and he was and so yeah, so Jonathan brings up, like, just think of it, these, like, put away the good versus evil, put that in the back burner, and just, you know, focus on the characters when you're reading these chapters, especially these chapters that don't feel like they're important. So, and that's what I've been trying to do. So, I mean, I got something out of the Suwan chapter that I read today, along with the Gareth Brand. I read those 2 chapters today. So,
but before you shut me up, which hopefully is soon.
No, I'm not going to shut you up. No, I'm not going to do that.
Out. So it's a developmental edit thing, and it's an issue with fantasy. But you're absolutely right to expect that everything that gets written has a point, right? Because that's from Joseph. That's from Joseph Conrad, kind of telling people, like, not just everything that gets written, every word needs to be deliberate. And the reader needs to expect that every word is there, and it's that word and not some other word that's chosen for a reason. And that's what makes good writing.
Yeah.
The sad reality with fantasy and serial fantasy is that's not the case. What invariably happens is a writer will get 1 or 2 books published, maybe 3 in their overarching series, and they'll get stuck in the gooey middle for a very, very long time, precisely because the gooey middle is where they make their money. And that's what's beginning to happen with Wheel of Time. It is the longest book series or single story ever written. Don't have to defend it. It is what it is, but we're getting into the part here where Robert Jordan is indulging with his characters. And he's investigating storylines or going through characters, and there might not be a satisfying ending to it. But at the end of the day, we're never going to know, because unfortunately he wasn't able to end the series. It had to get handed off, and it got finished up or wrapped up in the best way possible for somebody new coming in, and without a clear mind of how everything was going to get wrapped up.
Yeah.
So not all of these plot points are going to have the payoffs at the end of it that you might be expecting. That's just the way it is. But at the end of the day, I think Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson did a heck of a lot better than a lot of other fantasy series, which, they get published with the intro and the first 2 acts or whatever in mind of a story. They've got no clue how to end it. Song of Ice and Fire, that doesn't have a final act written, and it's been in torpor for over a decade.
Yep, you're not wrong there. So, even Robert Jordan's death, I'm sorry, George has no excuse, in my opinion.
It's a difficult part of writing a story is if you want to arc it all the way to completion, but a lot of writers find it easier to start stories than they do to end them.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee
Stephen King, same problem. Yeah.
I can guarantee you right now what you're reading is an author who's introducing new stories, new characters, new plot lines, and it's fun. But if you're already thinking through to what's the end point of this, you might not be satisfied at the end of the day.
Well, I'm willing
to, especially.
Yeah, I'm willing to. But you know what? It's like Alex said last time. I've practically read through Harry Potter. I'm in, and I want to experience the good parts, because I know there's good parts.
What I'll recommend is just enjoy the chapter for what it is in the moment and the characterization. So for that, when a character's like Nynaeve is being a bitch, laugh with it, because it's being done for a particular reason.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. And of course, this is also, and it's just this is. I'm not the reader. I'm not the level reader you guys are. So this is a great exercise for me as well. So I don't see it. It doesn't serve any purpose to just give up. So I'm not going to give up. I plan to finish the series. So despite the doubt last time, I'm planning to finish the series. I want to see how things play out. I know certain things happen. I'm curious how we get there. So, but I need to read the super chat by Whisker Fishman really quickly for $2. Nice to listen to smart people have a good talk. Well, that's Dane. That's Dane and Alex and Steve.
All right. I don't know who Whisker's talking about. But here's one last thing. I know I shit on Sanderson probably more than is fair.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. All right. So the smart guy ditched out about an hour ago. But the great thing about the Sanderson books is it will give you the payoffs that you were hoping for, because a lot of people reading through this, they weren't hoping for, well, what's the payoff with Swan Sanche and Gareth Bryn going to be? Because he's had her do his laundry for the last 5 books. So I got to know how this ends up. You're not going to get that payoff, or you're going to get something, but it's not going to be that satisfying. But you're going to get a pretty awesome Lan payoff. So as much as Lan is acting like a bitch right now, and you're kind of all right, he's not the coolest character anymore. Don't worry. Lan's got a very, very good wrapped to his whole arc, and you're going to dig it. So what I keep saying about Sanderson, would it have been as good as Jordan finishing his own books? No. Would Jordan finishing his own books have been in only 3? Probably not. It would have been 5 or 6 more books.
Mhm.
But did Brandon Sanderson stick the landing where it counted? Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. So yeah, I'm looking forward to those as well. Jonathan R. Everything that is written has a point. However, you won't know until reread. RJ showing you Nynaeve's prickliness is important because of where her character journey is heading.
Yeah.
All right. Definitely keep that in mind. Thank you for the comment, by the way. And yeah, thanks for being here. So yeah, I did post something in the private chat, Dane. Alex, is there anything? Alex, is there anything you any final points you want to make?
Nope. Just this is one of the best books in the series, and that I think you're going to dig this one.
Okay, I can't wait to see how this all pays off. Anything White Cloaks? Anything you guys want to promote? Is there any upcoming streams? You guys going to talk to any other YouTubers that feel differently about this Wheel of Time series? I love it when you guys do that. I love it.
I'm gonna put Alex on the spot here and promote something at the same time. So like 2 years ago in March, Alex had, or is this almost 3? Fuck if I know. Alex, this is how we got to know each other. He had this idea on the Reddit before we got nuked of like, let's do a March Madness of the worst fucking moments of the show. So we made like a bracket. It ended up being like 128 of the worst moments. And we put it up like, we got to the we got nuked from Reddit. So we had to go to Discord, but it was like a blessing in disguise. And we basically ranked like 128 of the worst moments and then had people vote via emojis, which was worse than the other. And we're trying to do something like this for this coming March Madness. Although I sent 230 of the worst moments of season 2 to Alex to like review and like add the last 20 that he couldn't think of and give like a ranking of kind of where they'd sit. But we need to get that together so that we can launch something in late February, early March. So if you aren't a member of our Discord and feel like voting on it, you have to go and join our Discord in order to vote on it.
Yeah.
If Alex can like get healthy.
I'll rip that out probably tomorrow. I'm home this week. I'm not on the road, so I got nothing but time. So I will add another 26 to get us up to 256, which is a what is that? A 2 squared number.
Yeah,
such that we can
it's going to be 16 brackets of 16, bud. That's how we're going to run.
Yep. So got that going on. Dane, I wanted to work with you on this Wheel of Time history project I got going on. While I got you here, I wanted to ask, did Lews Therin break up with Lanfear before or after they drilled the bore?
It's not established. As far as I can tell, it's not established. Although, yeah, I honestly don't know. Because the timeline is, I guess you'd have to work back from that. But it's unclear. But if I was going to guess one way or the other, I'd say that he broke up with her before. Because that would have been kind of cause to break up after, don't you think?
My thing was, she turned into a selfish bitch because of
that could have been a motivation to like go off and do that, but it's not clear from the story of when that happened.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna keep that in the part 2. So I wanted to go over that with you. Then,
just don't be definitive one way or the other, and then no one can take you to task for it.
There you go. And then I got 2 projects I wanted to do with Gadfly. One was the Gawain and Galad, and I'm sorry, my cat decided he wanted to be part of the stream.
Nice.
So the Gawain and Galad video, sort of comparing them to their Arthurian equivalents, and then I also just wanted to get his 5 books every boy should read in each grade, because it's
Over 12 grades?
Yes.
Oh, shouldn't there be 12 books?
No, what 5 books should you have read in first grade? What 5 books should you have read in second grade? What 5
That's
books
60 books.
Yeah.
That's a lot of books.
That is a lot of books.
I'd just be impressed if someone like read 60 books.
You
by
can
12th
read
grade.
60 books in 12 years. Like,
I know I can.
Dane, our entire country used to be able to do this. This used to be the academic standard that existed for every student. And then we've gradually dumbed down the education system until we only read ethno-misery porn.
Gradually? What are you talking about?
Well, it was gradual, and then we dropped off a cliff because of COVID. But...
First a little bit, and then all of a sudden.
Yep, exactly. It's like a midnight voter dump. Sorry, Brian, I'm going to get your channel nuked if I don't shut up here.
That's fine. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. If anyone's still here in the chat, go over to Technically Mexican. Go give him some love. Give him a kiss, and definitely go support his stream right now. But yeah, for me, so I'm still working. I'm working on a project. Been really slow with it. It's my 2001 Space Odyssey retrospective. Going to be covering the space travel. Is it possible in the future? Are we not going to? My takes on that, and just the idea: are we alone in the universe? So that's a video. It's a big one. It's very, very broad. So hopefully I'll finish writing it. A lot of research has to be done. Thursday is going to be another Chilporial. I'm going to be having someone named The Legend of Leo. We're going to be talking video games and Nintendo. So yeah, so all you Wheel of Time fans, we're not talking Wheel of Time this week. I think Pips is doing something on Tuesday with Nathan. I'm gonna find out for sure. I don't know. 3 of us were supposed to drink and stream together. Nathan got sick on Friday, so we ended up having you guys ended up having the member stream, and I was I had a little too much to drink. So, but I think that's pretty much it. I mean. For me, I know I got plenty of Chilporials lined up. I gotta do some scheduling. Dane, I want you for Chilporial. Alex, we need to do a part 2 because everything has to have a sequel.
Agreed.
So, one thing we do need to talk about, Alex. We never talk about the rest of the Wire. So the Wire has to be. We have to talk about, especially the education part, since you are an expert in the in education. I mean, when I hung out with you, you were talking about. You recommended a podcast, about reading and all that, about the reading
standards. Wait, Brian, is your sequel with Alex going to be like Empire sequel?
Yeah, that's good. There's going to be
or is it going to be like season 2 of The Wire sequel?
There's going to be a big cliffhanger at the end. Someone is so Alex is probably going to reveal something, how he truly feels about me. Or maybe he's my brother's father's, cousin's, former roommate or something. I mean, we don't know. But I usually let the guests kind of figure that out. Come up with something.
Brian, based on what I know of your nationality and what I know of my nationality, it is very possible that we are related on one side of my family.
Oh, he is a Polak.
A small portion. My nationality can.
I think I told you. Alex. I think I told you my last name, right? I think I told you. You think you know? Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
The only reason I remember it is because there's a famous soccer player that has it.
Sure. I don't know. No, of course not.
Famous.
But what was I gonna say?
He played for Germany too.
Anyway, yeah, that's the game. Looking forward to Chilporial 2, and I can't wait.
All right. But yeah, once again, everybody, thanks for being here, and definitely subscribe to the White Cloak, subscribe to Technically Mexican, And if Prophet makes that Bob the Balefire thing, subscribe to Prophet of the Dragon too. So,
but not before that.
Not before that. So, all right, everybody, take care and have a good night.
You too.